Well, it appears to have been a while and whatnot. Hopefully all you guys are doing well. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Gout Report. Says, what's this? Golden Triangle Gaming 2nd Edition. I'm your host. And, yeah. I guess let's go ahead and get reacquainted a little bit and kind of give you guys an idea of what the situation is and what the plans are kind of moving forward. I would assume at this particular point, nothing's been up on the main channel for, I don't know, a week, maybe 2, something like that. And the reports that did go up were for the end of March, which, to be honest, those should have gone up like maybe 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. Because I certainly recorded them about or around that time, so that should have gone up. But I cut everybody loose so they can go ahead and enjoy the spring break, so on and so forth. And one of the guys here thought he had it scheduled. It didn't happen. Myself or Asian GTG could have gone back and looked. Milf and Cookie said that she would have, and I don't know. We got lost in the shuffle. It is what it is. The point being, though, is that nothing's going to be up on the main channel for a while. Now, with that being said, it doesn't mean that I'm not still recording for it. This is actually my first recording back in a few weeks. I'm not even going to lie to y'all. But that doesn't mean that I still won't get back on the recording, because I have a bunch of stuff from the for the Snort report. At the time that I'm recording this, it's May 20th. So I'm I still have April. Actually, I got some April already recorded. But I got to finish up April, and then I have this month. Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything on the main channel for a while. I'd be honest with you, probably not till the end of June, maybe July, if that. But I will. We're gonna do some stuff here for a little bit, because I've been meaning to get back here for a while. On top of that, I know there's a lot of things going on. We're going into like 2 different sagas. To be honest, I'm gonna kind of pick my spots on that, just because I've been out the loop. so I don't really. I know what's going on, and I don't know what's going on. In the fact that I've just enjoyed my time off. To be honest with you, I jumped on a Agent Proper stream though, like once or twice, to see what was kind of going on and whatnot. It was good talking to him and the rest of the agents over there with the DIA. Big ups to them. And let's see. I've been big ups to the homie Sunspot Gallery. Big ups to Super Crazy and Jay. Big ups to Paul. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm going to leave a link down in the description to it. It's a link for Amazon for any of you guys who might be interested in the Darksydephil book club. That's not its official name, by the way, but that's what I'm calling it. Paul has written a total of 4 books, and they are all down there, and they're all there, I should say. I'll leave a link down in the description. You guys can either buy it on the Kindle, which you can get that for like $1, or you can take the plunge and get the paperback, which might be a collector's item one day. So that's a thing. Like I said, I'll leave the links to those down in the description for you guys. I hope you would check them out. I own all 4 of them. Most of the members here at GTG Network and Productions do. So actually, I think we all do, to be honest. I'm pretty confident. But if not, they're going to get gifted it later anyway. So it is what it is. So that's something that you guys can look out for. And big ups to Paul. Speaking of which, Paul, I'm going to reach out to you soon, because I have 2 ideas I'd like to run by you, just see what you would think. Either that, or you'll hear me go into a bit of a diatribe about something, and then I'm sure you'll pick up what I'm putting down. So that's a thing. So look forward to that. So with that being said, let's see. So big ups to Paul. Like I said, Sunspot, Jay, super crazy. Let's see. There's a lot of interesting content going on right now around Phil and whatnot. There's different people who I've never seen or heard of coming in every day. I'm not going to label them detractors because they're kind of just giving their insight on Phil's current situation. People who are fans, I guess, of a lot of detractors, or they run around in certain circles, or they lurk in certain circles. Nothing wrong with that. And they've decided to make videos and give their 2 cents. And I think it's good. It's very good to have more and more people speaking on the subject. You don't have to commit to this and be full-blown detractors. That's why we say detractors, trolls, haters, and critics. And really, that's what a lot of it is. It's just critics. It's people coming in and just giving their kind of 2 cents. And if the saga becomes exciting, then, they can kind of chime in on it. And if they can get some growth off of it or get some notoriety or whatever the case may be, then so be it. But if it's not something that they have to permanently tie themselves down to. So I think that's a really cool thing. And I think it's what I've always wanted to see. I think that's what the detractor community itself has always wanted to see, is that you want to see more people come in, and if they feel the need to speak on it, they do. It's important. You know what I'm saying? Because Phil has spent so many years censoring people, you know what I mean? Or trying to silence people, that I think people should feel the need, well, if they feel inclined, I should say, to speak on it, they should. And they don't have to, kind of commit or even be labeled as a detractor if they don't want to be. So it is what it is. But then again, you have a new generation of detractors that are slowly but surely being cultivated and starting to come up, and that's a really good thing. And a lot of those guys and gals, actually, from what I've been told, have been around for a minute, and they're kind of just now hitting their stride. And like I said, I think that's what we should be. That's what we should want. That's what we should be standing for. And so anything that we can do to try to help them, that should be a thing. Because certainly my generation kind of sort of helped each other out. Then again, from what's being said, they did a lot to cut each other down too. But it is what it is. Like I said, hopefully they learn from our mistakes as we try to learn from the mistakes of the generation before us, and hopefully they do better by it. That's all I can really say about it, and I think that's all that anybody can really say about it. In any case, let's see. So what's going on here? Like I said, content should be back up on the main channel in a month or so, maybe before that, because there are some aspects that I'd like to speak on. Phil has lost... First, he lost Streamlabs. Then he ended up being demonetized. Then he has an explanation on why he was demonetized. Even though theoretically, we were kind of already told why he was demonetized the first time around. But it is what it is. But now he has a reason why he got demonetized. He was kicked off for about an hour, which even I have to say that him getting kicked off for the reason he did was nonsense. Now, however which way you think or what he said what he said. He clearly said what he said, but that's not... I don't feel that's cheap. It's cheap for anybody to kind of take a win off that little bit. That's not good enough, and that's the reason why Twitch reversed it. But I'd also like to have this running around in your noodle or in Snortbuck's new line of teas, because that is a thing, by the way. I've promoted that before. That's what the Gout Report's about. Is that somebody, or some buddies, I should say, are watching him very, very close. Very close. There's a reason why his ass got booted off for about 5 minutes after he said it. I think they say it's within 3 to 5 minutes. I think Ann Lee's video said like 3 to 5, something along those lines. There's a reason why. Someone's watching his ass really, really close. And another thing I'd like to point out, and then we can get on to why and what we're doing today, is they don't need to kick you off their site to tell you that you're not wanted, to be perfectly honest with you. This goes back to a Medicare video that he made back in like 2017. It's called the 3 Ds. It was demotivate, demonetize, deplatform. The video's almost lost now. I'm sure I've got a copy of it somewhere, and I'm sure one of the Medicare archive channels has it. But it's it might be labeled under something else or whatever the case may be. But it's a good video. It's only like 3 minutes long. And if I find it, I can actually try to insert it in here, if you will. But it basically goes over how a lot of these sites don't need to go ahead and get rid of you. They don't necessarily need to deplatform you. There are other ways of getting rid of you than deplatforming you, yeah? So, like I said, it's demonetize, deplatform. Demotivations is actually pretty self-explanatory. Your shit just stops showing up in the algorithm, or you stop getting promoted, or your videos are somewhat shadow banned, or you're shadow banned even. That's a thing. It's a Gundam speaks on that every once in a while. I'm sure Memology 101 could probably tell you a thing or two, as well as others. And it's easier to get you to quit. And if you're not seeing the type of activity that you're used to, then that's what would cause it. Let me give you an example. So I really like watching people who play 7 Days to Die. 7 Days to Die. I enjoy playing it myself, to be honest. But I enjoy watching other people watch it or play it. Sorry. There's a guy named Glock9. He's probably one of my favorites. Him, Games for Kicks. I say they're two of my favorites. And then there's more to me. For Life. I just started watching her, and I really enjoy what she brings to the table and whatnot, some of her insight. Anyway, point being is I really enjoy this game. At the time, before the pandemic, Glock9 used to be able to put up a 7 Days to Die video and easily have 100,000 views before the day was out. Easy. Super easy. He just finished his last series. So he's playing something else at the moment, but I'd say since the pandemic, it kind of slipped a little bit. You know, went from 100,000, 150,000, 150,000 plus to about 100,000 to about 70,000. He kind of flows between 50 and 70,000, which is a lot. It's nothing to, it's nothing to sneeze at or snort at, right? But there's just a change in it. Now, I'm not saying that YouTube's doing anything to deplatform him or demonetize him or anything along the sorts. But I'm saying is that's kind of like the natural transition that's gone on with a lot of YouTubers during the pandemic. And I think before the pandemic, people were kind of set in their ways on who they watch. During the pandemic, you have way more time on your hands and you tend to want to go ahead and branch out and do other things. With that being said, if you're YouTube, even though Glock9 didn't do anything wrong, maybe, just maybe, you want to push other people in that genre forward a little more. And that was something that's been said in his comment section, where a lot of people are like, I don't get notifications for your videos and whatnot, so I just check your channel every week when I get a chance. And that's kind of what's, I think, hurt him and hurt a lot of those guys around that time. I can say that for a couple of Call of Duty YouTubers as well. Now, in the long run, they'll get all that back. You know what I mean? But if you're thinking about, or if we're speaking on just initially, I think that was one of the big hindrance as it pertains to his views and whatnot. Now, if you want to just look at people who do get demonetized for various reasons, or who may be shadow banned or blocked in some type of way, shape, or form, look no further than Darksydephil on YouTube, I should say. His videos do nothing. You know what I mean? The video we're about to go over, I'm going to take you guys back to 2018. Hold on a second. Jesus Christ. Oh, holy shit, that was actually really good news. Big ups to that. That might be something I tell you guys about in the future if that actually pans out. Holy shit, that was actually amazing news. I need to reach out to some people now. Damn, that was good news. All right, anyway, sorry. 20 minutes later. What was I talking about? 3Ds. Oh, Darksydephil. So look at no further than I'm gonna try to freestyle this. I have no idea where I'm at. Think of it as think about Darksydephil for example. Think about his YouTube channel. His videos don't do shit. They don't do nothing. Nothing. Now, am I saying that he has been somewhat shadow banned or been hindered in some type of way in his viewership on YouTube? No. Am I saying that he's being promoted in any type of way, shape, or form despite the community that's around him and that basically does content off of his name? Well, you be the judge of that. How is it that he's pulling like 4, 5, 7, or 800 views and that's it? Your video's effectively dead, but you have all these detractors, trolls, haters, and critics out here who can put out videos and they can hit 3, 4, 5, 6,000 views. Well, it varies, obviously. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, you're not gonna see me get those type of views, but you know what I mean. Like, how does that happen? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You know what I mean? And his decline has been like that for a while. The video we're gonna go over, I'm gonna take you guys back to 2018. Back then, he was still able to pull. He was at least in the high hundreds. He was at least breaking 13, 14,000 on a regular basis, not just part 1 to part 5 of a new video game, I should say, and then the last parts of the game. You know what I mean? I'm talking about just some of the regular uploads were in the thousands on average. You know what I'm saying? Or getting there, or at least close to it. He barely pulls that now. You can find videos on Phil's channel that's been up for almost a week and they may not have hit 1,000 yet, or they struggle to get there. You know what I mean? Depending on what it is. And that's really fucking shitty for someone who's been uploading to the channel or uploading to DSPGaming for how long? 10 plus years or whatever? However long it's been, and has 100, and your sub count doesn't mean shit anyway, but 190,000 subs or whatever that is. That's really fucking sad. And the idiot live streams now on YouTube, which is another thing that I've neglected to mention. But the idiot still doesn't want to open up his comment section. And so because of that, this pigtard's not going to get promoted because YouTube doesn't have a reason to. And on top of the fact that it looks like he is not showing the likes and dislikes for whatever reason. Which for a while he was okay with that, but semantics. But anyway, back to the demonetization part of it. I just gave that to you guys as an example. Sites don't need to just kick you off anymore just to do it outright. It doesn't benefit them, to be honest with you. It's easier for you to just leave on your own. So when you think about the Darksydephil situation, I'll talk about that in something a bit more extensive on the main channel. Maybe I'll do it after this. We'll see. Depending on how long we go with it. He speaks of, if I really broke all these terms of service, they would have just kicked me out outright, or kicked me off outright. They don't need to do that anymore. They chose not to make money with you. What does that tell you? The reason why Destiny stayed there after he got demonetized, because for any of you guys who keep up with other nonsense, Destiny got demonetized off Twitch, is because he still has a big ass fucking platform, and there are people who throw thousands upon thousands of dollars at him. The people who sub to him, or even who are auto sub to him, or whatever the case may be, they'll translate that into actual dollars. That's what Phil's trying to do now. The thing is, he doesn't have the clout, he doesn't have the influence, he doesn't have the muscle, he doesn't have the dedication. His fans don't really have the dedication. Actually, if nothing else, over the span of the last 30 days, I'd say, or at least since he got demonetized, which was when he got kicked out of the partner program, which was April 21st, if I believe. Don't hold me to that. I mess up on details. Since then, he's been pushing for people to just tip him. And what it exposed was something that detractors have been saying for years. You have a handful of whales, more or less, and that's it. There is really nobody else. Yeah, everybody throws a little $5 here, the $10 here, but it's not enough to sustain you in a practical sort of way. If a detractor right now went ahead and opened up a Patreon or something along those lines, they could have 15, 20, 30, 40 people who would donate to it in somewhat equal parts, depending on the case. They don't have to rely on just one person coming in and giving large amounts of money. Phil needs that. He needs 1 or 2 whales daily to hit this $400 tip goal of his. Speaking of which, that $400 tip goal, ladies and gentlemen, isn't actually supposed to be $400. It's actually supposed to be $8. And I'll explain that at a later time and date, but what he's really wanting is $800. That's what he's going to build to. He stayed at $4 because he wanted to double what he usually pulls a day. Now he's getting that because supposedly he doesn't have bits and he doesn't have subs. And to be honest, he actually is undercutting himself, because I think more often than not, he probably makes more than $200 at least every few days on bits and on or on cheers, I should say, on cheers and subs. Especially since you guys have to remember, this guy led the fucking website. He led the website in the most, in like, I think tier 3 gifted subs. He had the most people who donated tier 3 subs to him. It's on a chart. It's on KiwiFarms. You'll find it on Detractor Twitter. So you'll see it. So that just gives you guys an idea of how much money is given to him by percentage of viewers. It's really high. It's really, really high. So he might actually be undercutting himself. With that being said, that leads to my theory, my speculation. It's funny how it's a theory, it's speculation. It's theory and speculation when he does it. When I do it, or when anybody else does it, I should say, when detractors do it, it's all conspiracy theories and it's nonsense and it don't mean nothing. It's really strange how that's a thing. Semantics, though. I think the goal is actually $800. The goal is $800 a day. And if he can get people to, in his words as of late, buy into that, then he has everything he wants. Right now, everybody's focusing on the... if you keep going by the $200 or the $400 a day, plus, I guess everything else that he tries to squander together, or scramble to get together, I should say, it comes up to like 120,000 plus a year, more or less. But if you go ahead and jump the number up, if you double the number, if you will, to 800 a day, then now we have a whole new stratosphere just off tips. And which leads to why he was staying on Twitch in the first place for the month after, or whatever the case may be. I surmise that he was going to leave the YouTube anyway. I've already told you guys that. He was going to come back here eventually. It's just, he has to come full circle, and I'll leave it at that because I have a whole nother spiel for that later on down the line. He was going to have to come back here either which way. This is where he's going to die. You know what I mean? Just to be literal about it. This is where Darksydephil DSP dies. Not Phil Brunel, the man, and I use that term loosely, but his little persona of Darksydephil and DSP. It dies here. It's going to die here on YouTube, not Twitch. He can go ahead and argue with that all he wants, but it's going to die here. And he knows that. And see, when that dies here, he has to go home. He has to go back home to mommy and daddy. And he don't like that. But the way he's trying to scramble now, and he's expecting everybody to cough up all this money, how do you sustain something like that in the long term? Great, you were able to milk these guys for disability and stimulus checks for the month. Congratulations. Are you gonna be able to do that in 6 months when you try to reapply for affiliate? And then I don't even know if he can even get managed partnership ever, and I don't even know why he'd even want it. Even though current lore is, he gave them an ultimatum, Twitch, I mean. He gave Twitch an ultimatum saying that they need to reinstate him and give him a public apology. Big ups to James the Lesser. They need to give him a public apology and reinstate him to full partnership within a week, or he's never going to come back. Why is that a threat to Twitch? Why does that mean anything? Why should it mean anything? Eat a dick. Now, so we'll talk about that later on. Back to my point for the third time. You don't have to hurt somebody by just kicking them off the site and letting them cry on Twitter and shit about how it's such a terrible injustice or whatever the case may be. You can just go ahead and demonetize them. You can be like, hey, we don't want to make money with you no more. Take the hint. Now, that doesn't mean you have to leave. It just means we don't fuck with you on that level no more. We don't have enough faith or trust in you that we can be making money with you anymore. That right there should be taking the hint. But yet he still wants to suckle at the tit. He still wants to go ahead and keep pulling at the dried out udders, hoping that, someone turns around or somebody helps him out or somebody does anything about anything. But how are you going to do that, Phil, when you drop the N-bomb a couple of days prior to you finding out what your, air quotes, actual reason was for getting kicked off? How about when you sat there and end up getting knocked off and then you told people publicly about the whole situation with the bits? There's no reason to take you back. Clearly somebody looked at that shit, like a real person reviewed it and was like, yeah, he needs to go. Or he's not going to make money with us. And they were hoping you were going to migrate on your own. And even if you chose not to, even if you chose to stick around and linger and go ahead and just collect tips and that's it, which is another thing too, Phil, you cutting them out of out of cheers and out of subs whenever the fuck you felt like it. And so essentially they're not catching any real money outside of the ads that you run. Probably didn't look good either. Even though a lot of people do it, it doesn't come across as blatant as it did with you. So take that for what you will. The fact that you stuck around shows me how pathetic of a person that you are. Not that I didn't already know that, but why the fuck would you want to stick around a group of people or business, as you like to call it, that don't want you? When they demonetized you, they were like, we don't care about Darksydephil. We don't care about DSPGaming. You can stay here if you like, but you're not going to make money with us. You want to have a platform to beg on, go ahead. But we don't want to make money with you. And then the 2 articles that were written on you didn't help you either. I would hope, there's probably a 3rd one in the works. And seeing all the different people reacting to that in different spectrums of YouTube or in content creation is amazing. I saw a clip of a live stream. They were going over, they were going over Netflix, Castlevania. Season 4. Just finished watching it. It was actually all right. It was better than all right, but it was good. It was good. But someone name dropped you in that article. It was brief too. It was like maybe 20 seconds. But that's how far you reach. And you never ever took into consideration exactly how far your name goes and how it's important to not let people throw dirt on your name. The problem is that you went ahead and do the Streisand effect and try to knock videos down or knock people off instead of trying to address the situation itself. Then you wanted to lie, which is all you're good for anyway. And then when you had chances and or opportunities to show evidence to prove your point, to really prove it, you didn't do it. You never did anything about anything. I was just listening to an old Almighty Tevin video, because that's the thing I like doing. And praise be. And he brought up the situation with the emails. Now, just in case you guys don't remember this is 2017-ish, end of 2017, getting in 2018. My taxes, save the house. Oh, you guys want to make a large contribution? Reach out to me by email and we'll talk, and so on and so forth. And this is around the time that the $6,000 for the statues, the $9,000 contribution that'll just be given behind the scenes, the whole, hey Phil, we want to pay you a large amount of money and give you a brand new gaming rig, and that right there was supposed to be orchestrated in air quotes behind the scenes. It was one of those situations. And the troll who was behind all that put all the emails out there. KiwiFarms has it if you want to look for it. You can definitely, someone on Detractor Twitter has it archived. It's all there. Phil was like, oh, it's not really true. That's not how it happened. You know what I'm saying? I have the proof. I have this, that, and third. And never laid any of it out. Never put anything out there. So he was like, people need to go ahead and do research to find out what's what. Well, what was there to find out when only one of the 2 parties actually put out the information? And you're telling people that information's a lie, but you don't have anything to back it up. And you said that you have evidence, but you never put it out there. But then what makes that even more interesting is when the drunken peasants had you bent over and they were about to go ahead and work you over, because, you know, Phil, you like fantasizing about having things rammed up your ass, apparently. Then you were okay with going ahead and throwing emails out when the drunken peasants were about to put that shit out there for the highest bidder. That was weird. So you made sure that they couldn't make no money off you, but when it comes to trying to save your public image and whatever, a little bit of self-respect, as if you knew what that was, you weren't willing to do anything about that. That's so awkward. That's so weird. It's so weird. Especially since you're a business, Phil. Darksydephil is a brand. You trademarked it at one time or another. I heard about that situation too with that thing with Reddit. That's fantastic. The guy should have known, though, it was public record and they were going to put your real name out there, but whatevs, you know what I'm saying? Some people get a win, I guess, however you can get it. But that's the thing in itself. You're a brand, right? And you have never, ever taken any type of consideration to that from any type of standpoint, business, social, or otherwise. That's why your name gets shitted on the way it does. It's absolutely fascinating. It's beautiful in a lot of ways. It's poetic, certainly, in all ways. You did it to yourself. But anyway, we'll save all that. So, main channel. I went over a little bit of Phil's nonsense. I don't think I have any real announcements for you, really. We are working on, I will say this actually, we are working on live streaming and doing some live broadcasts. They will probably be done here as practice, so to speak, and then it'll be on the main channel. So you may get like a few of those a month, maybe like 1 or 2 of those a month, and then the rest of them will be all recorded, depending on how time works. So that's cool. You guys get to yell at me in real time. So so that should be fun. Big ups. So that's a thing. So that should be fun. I actually really look forward to doing that. So that's a thing. And that's it. So now that all of that's been out of the way, let's get to why you guys are actually here. Ladies and gentlemen, given the current situation and all of Phil's begging and nonsense and alerts and all this little bullshit about bullshit, I thought maybe we could go over some of Phil's old begging videos. I thought it'd be great. And there are so many of them, especially from the year of 2015 up to like 2019. But 2016, 17, and 18 are some of the sweet spots because he went through all kinds of fuckery during those years. So that's why we are here today. If you guys have one that you want to recommend, you can leave it down in the comment section, and it'll be put on a list because that's what our focus is going to be for a little while. I'd like to give you guys some of this lore and whatnot leading up to it. I already have some lined up. I'm sure some of you guys will make recommendations that line up with that. If that's the case, then it all works out and you get a free shout out either which way. As long as I catch it on time. Because if I start getting into, because I haven't recorded in a while, I'm going to start binging soon. Like our girl Chantel and Amber Lee. Or Amber Lynn, sorry. So, who is Amber? Oh, that's the Amber Lee's this other chick. This other interesting lol cow that's making her way up, maybe. That should be interesting if it ever pops out. Anywho, so we're going to go over some of those. You guys want to make a recommendation for one, please do. Leave it down in the description. All I ask you guys for is a title or a link to the actual video itself, or both. Whatever you can do. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to ask you guys to really go out your way, anything crazy. Or I'll make a community post, and you guys can place it there, and I will go over them. I will do that, because I'm still digging into the FGC stuff, so we'll see how that goes, but I found some interesting gems. I had a couple of things lined up that kind of fell through, which is okay. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I'm not gonna pressure people to kind of bring things up that they kind of want to let go. So I feel that, but I do appreciate them talking to me either which way though. So that was kind of cool. I very much appreciate their time though. So that's the thing. So that and to be honest with you, they should probably talk to someone. If they choose to go that route, I should say. I don't think they will, but if they do, if they're listening to this, you should probably choose to speak to someone like Agent Proper. You know what I'm saying? He's been around for a really long time. He has, he's a bit more, diplomatic than I am, to be honest. So, not to say that I know what your motivations are or aren't, but if that's the case, if you're looking for somebody that's a bit more reasonable, I would say him, or even LSB, to be honest with you. That would be a good choice too, I think. So that's a thing. Yeah, one of those two sounds like a good pick. I'm sure there's a few others, but those sound like good picks. Anyway, we are here, ladies and gentlemen. I want to take you guys back to 2018, and we're gonna talk about when when Phil had a situation with Twitch, or a situation with YouTube, I should say. I'm sorry, with DSPGaming actually, when that shit got demonetized. So let's go ahead, take a small break, and play some music for you guys for probably a minute or so. It's probably gonna be a little longer for me, but it's gonna probably be a minute for y'all. And then let's get into the video at hand. All right. Thank you guys for listening to my TED Talk, which is extremely long, but you know, when I don't talk to you guys for a while, I tend to be extremely talkative. I'll see you guys in a second. All right, ladies and gentlemen. This should be different. It's July 20th, 2018. Darksydephil is removed from the from the Curse Partnership Program for alleged trolling. And come to realize the Google AdSense that he was using with the Curse Partnership actually is invalid. It was invalid for invalid click activity, despite the fact that he was under his Curse Partnership and he wouldn't have had any need for any abuse to happen on his AdSense because he wasn't really using his. He was using Curse's AdSense. With that being said, on the, let's see, that was on the 20th, I assume not too long, like a day or two afterwards, we started going into all this hyperbole about how I can't monetize this. I need you guys' help. You guys need to be supportive, which led to a massive level of begging that at that time was only dreamt about, let alone actually thought it would ever materialize. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, when DSPGaming couldn't be monetized, he had to move over to KO Gaming. First problem, ladies and gentlemen, is that he told us the year prior that KO Gaming, and actually probably even earlier that year, that KO Gaming was blacklisted. It was effectively dead for whatever reason, and he didn't have a good one, by the way. He said that KO Gaming was demonetized. It was dead. It was shadow banned. You know what I mean? It was on a blacklist. He would never be able to make money off of it, so please stop asking him to make edited content for the channel. It had its run. 1 year, and it was over. Then all of a sudden, DSPGaming gets demonetized, and we don't go to King of Hate Vlogs. We go to KO Gaming. Excuse me. Extremely interesting. But I got more though. On top of that, we're still in the time period where we're cutting up videos into very small chunks, right, and throwing it up on YouTube because he needs to get all the ad revenue possible. Interestingly enough, at the time when this was all going on, at least up to the date in question that you see on your screen, he would still keep the VODs actually on his Twitch channel, right? It would be up there for 3 or 4 days until he actually starts deleting them. Funny enough, right around the time that all of this happens, he starts deleting his VODs immediately off of Twitch, and he's uploading them to YouTube ASAP. Now, keep in mind, he was uploading them every single day anyway. It didn't matter, but he would still keep, you know what I'm saying, that shit archived on Twitch. Then all of a sudden he just stops. He never brings it up, never gives a rhyme or reason for it. He just stops. That's kind of interesting, and that's something that I'd like to go ahead and kind of put into your bowl of udon noodles, if you will, because one of the reasons why he was more than likely kicked out of the partnership program, and I say one of the reasons because it's more than one reason, to be honest. Let's not delude ourselves in any way, shape, or form. There are certainly a cornucopia of reasons on why he got kicked out of their program, and they let it all stack up and as it became more and more egregious. In any case, the official statement is that hateful slurs and language, which that's an easy fit for Darksydephil. But initially when he read that email, it was for violating the what was it? How was that worded? Violating the exclusivity deal that they had, which Phil had been violating for a long time. Quick lore. I'm sure Tevin has gone over this though, as well as others. Phil has been uploading his pre-streams and as well as just his gameplay to YouTube almost as soon as he's done with the streams. You're theoretically not supposed to do that. You're supposed to wait 24 hours. Twitch owns any content gaming related. Well, I don't know if it's all content or is it just gaming related. I guess it depends on how your contract's structured. But for our purposes, any gaming related content is exclusively left on Twitch, and then it can come to YouTube and you do whatever you want. And that could even be said, to be honest with you, for a lot of the clipping channels who clip like some of the big streamers, and then they put that on separate channels, or the channels that those big streamers have them work for. Like, let me give you an example. Dr. Disrespect, right? There are 2 channels that clip stuff for him, or essentially, or they do clip content for him, or whatnot. It's the 2-Time and the Champions Club. And what they do is they have permission, well, at least the way the mythos goes, and I don't see why they wouldn't, but whatever. I wouldn't see why it's a lie. But they say that they have permission from Dr. Disrespect, or at least one of them does, has permission from Dr. Disrespect to take his stream, cut it up, edit it basically, and then they put it up on their channel. Whatever ad revenue that generates, that shit goes right back to Dr. Disrespect. And the fact of when he was on Twitch, they would do it to either get a sub, to either resub, or to give gifted subs, or they would do it to donate. So that's a thing. And like I said, it sounds believable because there are a lot of people who do that, to be honest. So that's essentially how they did it. But they didn't put up anything of Dr. Disrespect until the 24th, or at least until the next day, basically. They waited at the very least. Now, I don't know if that would have any negative effect on Dr. Disrespect or not, because you have plenty of Twitch, clipping channels who will clip something and put it up ASAP. Like, for example, what's her name? Sweet Anita, right? Because, you know what I'm saying, she started working out. She got really thick. And people put stuff up on her all the time because goddamn, she got thick. Anyway, I don't think that negatively affects her either which way if it goes up or not. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's like a 30, 45 second clip, depending on what she's doing. Or the what's her name? Pokimane thirsty ass clip channels who do their shit, so on and so forth. Same type of concept. But the point being is that he's been breaking his exclusivity deal for a number of years, since basically the beginning. One of the major things that happened to him back in the day is that people were sitting there taking his pre-streams or even taking some of his gameplay and putting it up on channels and monetizing it before Phil could put it up on his own channel, and that led to a whole nother thing in itself. I'll look into that more, but I'm sure Almighty Tevin's gone over it, and you guys can hear the whole story there. It's very, very interesting on why he even puts ads on his pre-streams. It all makes sense when you hear the story in full context. Anyway, so Phil has been breaking that for a very, very long time. A very long time. But in 2018, where he used to keep those VODs on the channel, all of a sudden he had to delete them ASAP. Like, as soon as the stream was over, you know what I'm saying? I don't even think he'd need to download it because he would already have it recorded from OBS. And then that shit immediately got deleted off his channel. I'm talking about quick. Let me give you another example. When Tevin was restreaming Phil, he used to he came up with a really nifty trick, or he found out a really nifty trick, that if you open up Phil's stream before Phil ends the stream and deletes it, you could literally watch it. It was like a phantom file, if you will. That, you know what I'm saying, as long as you had Phil's stream open in a tab before he closed the stream down or deleted it, you could still watch it with the chat. So that's what Tevin and a lot of guys used to do. After Tevin had talked about it, a lot of people started to do it that way because Phil would delete it within minutes. Within minutes, he would go out of his way to do it, and no one really understood why. But and I'm sure there's somewhere down the line, there's some type of mention, there's some type of bait that talks about that in some way, shape, or form. So we'll look out for that and see if that comes to fruition in any type of way. In any case, on the 28th, he makes this absolutely amazing begging video, basically asking YouTube to come through and give him money to his Patreon so he can keep going, because he can't make any money off of DSP Gaming, and KO Gaming makes him allegedly $10 a day. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is someone who has talked about in the past on making $200 a month off of a particular channel. Keep in mind, 200 is more than 300 if you go by his logic and his piggy mathematics about making $10 a day. Define sniff. And said that he was making $200 a month on a channel, or a few $100s a month, if you will. That could be considered 300, meaning that a few is more than a couple. And it wasn't shit. It was scraps. It was table scraps, if you will, right? Even though at one time Phil was making quite a bit of money off KO Gaming, at least in that first year. He just didn't want to put the effort in. He didn't want to continue to put the effort in, I should say. But that's a whole nother story in itself. In any case, he basically tells, this is one of the many videos out there around this time period where he tells YouTube that they need to step up. The YouTube audience, they need to step up. And to step up, you go to your Patreon, or his Patreon. Problem is that Patreon has always been in play. When he went to being a, as he likes to call it, a full-time streamer, he tried to integrate Patreon into his Twitch schemes, I should say, and then eventually he just abandoned it outright when he was making all kinds of money, begging for bits and begging for cheers. Or sorry, begging for bits, a bit and a cheers, the same thing. Begging for cheers and begging for tips. He essentially abandoned it, and then also he stopped paying for Premiere, and he also stopped doing the weekend preview, and so he didn't see a need to shout anybody out because he didn't have the editing software for that, which is stupid, because if you wanted to do a payroll or a PayPal crawl, if you will, or a shout out crawl, you can do that in OBS. You don't need editing software for that. And even then, even if you wanted to go that extra step, he has free editing software on his PC. We've seen the icons for it, just like we've seen the icon for Discord going back at least a couple of years, even though he never had a Discord. Keep that in mind too. That's very important. Never had a Discord ever, but apparently last night or the night before, he had slipped up and admitted that he did. It's in a Snort video that they put out just recently, like today or yesterday, I should say. I think it came out on the 19th, May 19th of 2021, where he basically slipped the fuck up on that. I'm pretty confident. So that's a thing in itself as well. so much inconsistencies. God damn it. Anyway, PayPal was always a thing. He chose to abandon it so he could get his money on Twitch. He wanted to be a good whore for Twitch and make sure that, you know, he was out there making daddy's money. But then when the situation with DSP Gaming fucked up, he runs back to KO Gaming, which is demonetized, remember, it's shadow banned, remember, it's blacklisted, remember, and says, I need you guys to start supporting Patreon. I can't ask the people on Twitch to contribute any more money or being any more supportive than they already are. They're doing everything they can do, and I would be an asshole to demand more money from them. But I don't mind being an asshole demanding it from you guys. So you guys need to step up. You guys need to come through. You guys told me for years upon years upon years, hey, Darksydephil, DSP, please just go to the longer format videos. Stop chopping everything up into 10-minute segments. Give us like an hour and plus like everybody else does, and you'll do better that way. Oh no, I know what the fuck I'm doing and whatnot, and I need that ad revenue to pay my bills, and that's the reason why I do things the way I do it, so shut the fuck up and deal with it. If not, you can unsub and leave. He told them that for years. But then when he got his ass backed up in a corner, then all of a sudden he wanted to do it. Very weird. Very strange. And then had the nerve to bring up, you guys wanted this. You guys have been asking for years for me to do it this way, and now I'm doing it. And since I'm choosing to do it, because he has no choice, by the way, so he didn't choose to do anything. He's just doing it because he's forced to. I need you guys now to step up. I need you guys to be willing to contribute. I need you guys to be willing to, quote unquote, buy in to this situation. It's amazing. It's amazing. So we're going to have an amazing journey going through these old type of videos. Remember, it's July 28th, 2018. They should be up on the screen at some point and whatnot. KO Gaming, the link will be down in the description, as well as some of the other things. Strap in. And let's go ahead and get into what the video is at hand, shall we? Philip, absolute failure. Oh, speaking of which, before I do that, I forgot to say this in the what's it called? In Chewing the Fat with GTG, we actually we got a sponsor. Like we're in a partnership, actually. Not even a sponsor, ladies and gentlemen. We're in a partnership. Blah! Look at that shit. Snort Bucks Coffee, the best coffee company and tea company, best beverage company, is the proud sponsor of WWE Champions 2021. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is our 4-star legendary Snort Bucks Hulk Hogan, decked out in that green, that money. That money. Isn't that shit great? It's just spectacular. So great. So beautiful. Big ups to Chio18 for yet again blessing us with this. Oh, get that money. Hashtag daily bills, ladies and gentlemen. You guys didn't know? That's what Phil needs his $400 a day for. He's got bills all week long. Even someone like Wings of Redemption, who's out there grinding, apparently with that DoorDash, doesn't understand how you have to pay bills every single day. Makes no sense. It's kind of wild. So not that we're trying to imply or endorse, right, gambling addictions or anything like that. This is all for fun, ladies and gentlemen. Darksydephil has no clue about that current account out there that just keeps getting kicked out of guild after guild after guild, and he has no association with it. It's some troll that's doing some amazing deep fake shit that's laid down $50,000+ at this point, I think. They were just unlucky enough to know who Darksydephil was, and they picked that name, and there you go. And now they're suffering the consequences. But that does not matter, ladies and gentlemen. All that matters is that's what's being sponsored right now. So big up and cheers to that. It's a shame though too, because there's some really specific criterias involved with obtaining this. We will talk about that later. Not everybody can get this. This is ultra rare. The rarest of Snorts. Not everybody can get this. But we'll talk about those qualifications later on down the line. I just wanted to make sure that you guys got a chance to see that. We'll talk more about this later on. But very, very rare. Very, very exclusive. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is what people spend, I don't know, 3 or 4 years in a row consecutively logging into their WWE Champions account to get. This is quite the find. You guys don't know. You guys really don't know. This is something amazing. Big ups to Chio18. And here we go with the video.
All right, what is going on, everyone? Phil here, and this is a special video for those of you who are watching my videos on YouTube, okay? Those who are still watching all of my classic videos on DSPGaming on a daily basis, 8 years of work.
It's kind of scummy that he's speaking to them like they owe him something. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with, let's see here, KO Gaming alert. My future on YouTube is at stake. Please support. Yet again, ladies and gentlemen, this video came out July 28th of 2018. The video, or the link to the video, will be down in the description. Just in case, for future reference. This is also on the DSPGaming channel under the exact same title. Also uploaded on the exact same day. I can also put the link down there too if you guys need it. Maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see. But the point is, there's a copy on the DSPGaming channel if you need it. Here we go.
That I put on that channel. And for those of you who have transitioned over in the last week to my other YouTube channel, KO Gaming, so that you could continue to watch the ongoing playthroughs and all the new gameplay that I've been doing, since DSP Gaming ran into trouble in the last week and was demonetized. All right. For those who want to know, the news is not good. The news is very grim. AdSense, Google AdSense, has not responded to my appeal to try to get DSP Gaming remonetized. And creator support, which is the helpline for YouTube, is literally just kind of under the impression that we can't do anything until we get a yes or no answer from AdSense. And we haven't gotten a yes or no answer. AdSense has literally just ignored me. And I don't have a direct line of contact with Google AdSense. I can't seem to find anyone to talk to besides submit this form and just hope that you get a response. It's been a week. I've gotten no response. So,
which is another classic problem with Darksydephil. It's funny too that he keeps doing the same ass tactic because it comes back to bite him in the ass quite a bit, pig butt, if you will. So Phil tells you on his streams daily that he hates people that nags at him. Yeah, get this for me. Yeah. You heard them all pig squeal about this shit before, right? About how they're being annoying in the chat. Acting like petulant children, always nagging him for something or always yelling at him to do a certain type of thing. You've heard all that nonsense. But that's exactly what he does. It's because of that type of tactics, if you will, and that way of thinking is what got his ass essentially fucked right off of fucking Machinima. They made him fuck right the fuck off their platform because he couldn't be a mature adult and go ahead and wait in his place. Now, most of you, right, might be asking, wait a second, he says that this is his livelihood, GTG. You know what I'm saying? What else was he going to do? Come on, Golden. You didn't really expect him to just sit around and just wait for them. Well, he didn't. At the end of November of 2016, he went back to Twitch because Twitch had all these different ways of making money on their site. So, if you think about it, when the situation with Apocalypse happened in 2017, he was already back on Twitch, essentially begging for money and doing mediocre content. Theoretically, he could have just weathered out the storm and waited. On top of that, DSPGaming was dying anyway and had been for a very, very, very long time, which is something that you hear on Reddit, KiwiFarms, and Detractor Twitter, as well as you hear it in videos, that when Darksydephil goes out, when he finally, his presence on the internet in general, I should say, when he goes out, it won't be in a blaze of glory. It'll be out with a whimper. It'll essentially be a fart. That's all that's how it's going to go. It won't be anything spectacular or amazing. He's been dying slow for years. I mean, Jesus Christ, look at him right here. It's 2018. If I went ahead and pulled up a picture of him now, you'd be hard pressed to believe that it's the same ghoul, to be honest with you. It's like the difference between a ghoul and a goblin. He looks like a fucking mess now. I mean, he looked like a fucking mess back then. Just saying. So, the point being, though, bring back to my point. The nagging and the bitching and complaining that he does to these companies are no different than what his audience does to him. And yet again, it's hurt him. It's got him in trouble. It got him in trouble with Blip.tv when he tried to strong arm them to let him back in, because at the time he had 100,000 subs on that particular channel, or almost, and he felt like he had brought a lot to the platform. In a lot of ways, how Ralph felt that he brought a lot of people to Stream.me or DLive, and so he should have special perks or, special privileges. And for a while he did. Ralph did have those special, those type of incentives, if you will, because he did bring a lot of traffic over there. He brought a shitload of traffic to both of those sites, respectfully. Phil thought he should have that same thing. Phil said, and it may be true and it may not, because given the timeline between what Phil says and what Spoony1 was doing at the time, theoretically, one of them are lying. Because theoretically, Spoony would have been the number 2 guy on Blip.tv, not Phil. And keep in mind, Phil said he was number 2 for the month and a half that he was there. That doesn't seem all that right. I do believe he brought in a lot of traffic. Logic would dictate that. But to say that you're automatically the number 2 guy after the Nostalgia Critic, I question the validity of that. But whatever. In any case, he tried to pull that there. Then he tries to pull on Blip TV. Then he tries to pull the nonsense on Machinima in 2017 that ends up getting his ass booted off. Then he tries to essentially do the same type of nagging type bullshit for Curse. Did it for a month and a half. And Curse still let him go. That's one of the situations that he's going through now. Right now, he's trying to say, give me Twitch kicked me off their site and didn't give me an answer, even though they did give him an answer. And they're not telling me what I did wrong. They're not specifically telling me what I did wrong, nor are they giving me someone to directly talk to. If they want to go ahead, if they can produce evidence and say that I did this, then, and they can prove it in his words, right? Okay, then I'll take the hit. But then they should at least give me some leeway. Okay, so go ahead. I'll admit that I did wrong. I'll take a punishment, and then you guys let me come back. You know what I'm saying? And that's why he's so desperate to want to talk to someone. That's why he's out here making an ass clown of himself, trying to make these public demands to get just one person, because that's all he needs. He just needs one person to talk to him, and he's just going to drill them over and over and over again, days on end, to either get him to someone else that he can talk to try to get his partnership back, right? Or he can just drill this person themselves, give them the pity story, give them the whole bullshit about the trolls are the ones that are fucking with me, and this is my livelihood, and I have no other prospects, and please let me back on. That's what he's waiting for, because that's what he did with Machinima. He had his Machinima contact when he was getting nothing out of them because they didn't know anything. He had a couple other numbers he could reach out to. So then he did that. And from there, they redirected him somewhere else. They redirected him somewhere else. They redirected him somewhere else. It was kind of like if you're playing on a stage in Donkey Kong. Then he had two other people that he's spoken to, or he knew at the time. One of them was a lady who was able to give him free games within Machinima. He went ahead and used her. Well, she wasn't there anymore. But he essentially used that line to get him transferred to someone else. And then there was the guy who was part of the partner program from 4 or 5 years ago, or whatever the case may be. He had that person's number. That person was gone, but the person that was there, he was able to essentially try to siphon off of them to move himself further and further up. And he was close. He almost had a chance to talk to, I don't think the CEO, but maybe like the president. He was about to talk to somebody in Machinima, somebody high, somebody that he had no business talking to. He almost made it until a lot of those departments reached out to the person who was in charge, his partner manager or whatever, and they were like, reel his ass back in. Reel his fucking ass back in. And that's what happened. Phil says that I don't want to be treated like some petulant child. I'm a grown-ass adult. I have a business and shit. I have bills to pay, and if you're not going to help me, and if you're going to treat me like this, I don't want to be with you anymore. Because Phil's a bitch, and he's a reactionary bitch, and he talked himself right out of it. That's exactly what that partner guy wanted to hear. He didn't sit there and try to press Phil and be like, yo, Phil, you keep acting like this, I'm going to have to kick you out of off Machinima. He didn't do that. He let Phil talk his way out of it, because that's what real business is, Phil. You let people who you don't need talk themselves out their position. It's much easier to get you to quit than fire you. Because when you quit, hey, you left on your own accord. Yes, he was breaking these rules. Yes, he was becoming a nuisance. Yes, he was causing problems. But we would have worked with him if he would have just taken time to listen. Instead, you wanted to be a reactionary little bitch, and you talked yourself right off of Machinima. You said, I didn't want to be with you anymore. And that's all they needed. That's probably all they were waiting for. And this guy in DSP was already being a headache for that guy anyway, whoever that partner manager was. So that was music to that guy's ears, and let his ass walk right off. Now Phil wants to do the exact same thing on Twitch, and he doesn't have a partner manager anymore. He's not Tevin. He's not partnered anymore. You know what I'm saying? Tevin has a partner manager. Phil don't. So Phil needs to get a hold of somebody, and he doesn't have anybody. It's funny how you've been a partner on Twitch for all those years, and the only number you had, or the only contact that you had, was essentially your partner manager, or whatever the actual title is. He never reached out to anybody else. He never talked to anybody else. And he don't know nothing. And since he don't collaborate with anybody, since he don't talk to any other streamers of relevancy, I should say, about anything, he didn't know who to reach out to. He didn't know who to talk to. So now he's stuck. So now we do what Phil Burnell's good at doing. We go ahead and put out false threats, and we see if he can get some people to back him up. And who's going to do that? I haven't heard the Quartering put out a video on him yet. I'm surprised, to be honest with you. Rich from Review Tech USA did. I'm going to go over that one because that was interesting. That had a bunch of discrepancies in it. And then just as I was thinking about the discrepancies that was in that video, like on cue, perfect timing, someone went ahead and did a video that went ahead and contradicted everything that Rich from Review Tech USA said in his previous video defending DSP. That's going to be amazing. And then I think Tipster did a video. I didn't watch it. It is what it is. So I'm not, but that's out there. So that's the thing. But yeah, no one of relevancy kind of gives a shit. And that's what Phil is hoping for. That's what he's fishing for. I don't even think Nick Rekieta said anything about it. But that's what he's wanting now. All he wants is to be able to get a hold of one person. And he's going to drill them until essentially they concede or they tell him to fuck off. And he's hoping that he can give them enough of a pity story that it'll work. But this goes back to what I said earlier on in this video, ladies and gentlemen, about how they were watching his ass for a minute anyway. The moment that he got demonetized, someone was watching him, hungry like a wolf, waiting for him to fuck up. And so that thing with the bits, oh well, I could get you for that, but no, I want to wait. So they caught you on the slur. Apparently, Dear Girl over there is still working very, very hard and enjoying her power because it didn't take long. And even though they let him back on, it was a discrepancy, right? Or whatever the case may be. It's funny how that same clip on most other websites is age restricted. Like you can't, like on Twitter, for example, you can't just, you got to actually, you know what I'm saying? You got to actually click an additional button to say that you're okay with watching this type of content. That's kind of amazing for something that he didn't say. And you know, Phil, he's really good at slipping up. He's really good at saying shit that allegedly he didn't mean. And this is coming off of Tevin, Almighty Tevin's original Twitter account being flagged down, which is the reason why Tevin has another account and whatnot, which is even more ironic because that comes a few days, like a day or two after Phil did a call to arms, a call to Snorts, if you will, on Twitter to have Almighty Tevin false reported on Twitch in a blatant lie that he put in that tweet, saying in one of his tweets, there's a bunch of them to be honest, saying that it's amazing that Twitch would allow this type of toxic content to be done on Twitch when the actual live stream that Almighty Tevin did was on YouTube. It wasn't on Twitch. And Phil knew he lied. He did that on purpose, hoping that someone from Twitch would watch that or would see that and be like, "Oh shit, he really did that on our site? Oh, well, let's go ahead and check and see if the VOD's there." Oh, there's no VOD. So how are you going to say that this situation happened when it didn't? Oh, it wasn't meant to go ahead and check Almighty Tevin's VODs to see if it actually existed. It was meant to go ahead and put some eyes on Tevin to see if they'll put some pressure on him for what he's doing off of the site, which is one of the things that got Phil fucked over in the first place. It's this whole situation with this whole Twitch partnership, ladies and gentlemen, is not just what you do on Twitch. I've talked to you about this on the main channel before. It's what you do off of Twitch. Twitch now looks at their partners, as most companies do and most companies should, that whatever you do on or off of our site is important and is a representation of us. Phil has been fucking up on a bunch of different places. He did it on Twitch. He did it on Twitter. He does it on YouTube. He does it on the King of Hate vlogs. Or he does it on the King of Hate forums. I'm sorry. He fucks up off-site a bunch of times in a bunch of different places. You don't think attention wouldn't be brought up over those situations at one time or another? But see, he knew he knows that's the case. That's why he tried to hit Tevin up with that tweet. Well, that first tweet, I should say. Just because he could purposely try to get Twitter's attention or Twitch's attention. I'm sorry. He specifically wanted to get Twitch's attention so he could get eyes on Tevin. Even though what Tevin did on YouTube does not violate their terms of service or anything at all. And then Phil lied again and said some shit about, oh, Tevin said that my wife should divorce me or whatever the case may be. I don't remember seeing a clip of that anywhere. So I don't believe that. And in my first listening of it, I don't remember hearing that either. So what are you talking about? He did think it was kind of funny that your wife was crying because you lost your partnership, which is strange because, you know, this woman who loves you and everything, if she would sit there and cry over money or potential money, that seems a bit off-putting. Don't get me wrong, plenty of couples react in different ways over losing a job. At the same time, it's best to keep your head about a situation. To have any man or woman to cry over money like that is just not the way to go. But that also is a bit telling about what your financial situation is and how financially unsure or insecure she may be. Because that right there is a telling sign that you guys must be in a bad financial situation, or you lied and you did that for sympathy bucks. Either way, it's egregious. But you using that situation wasn't good. And I'm sure Tevin saw that. Actually, I know Tevin saw that. So you did that to yourself. But this whole thing about, oh, yeah, she divorced him, I don't remember hearing that. And even if he did say it, so what? It's an opinion. He can have that. That's not enough to get him kicked off of a site or deplatformed or anything. And it's funny how you would go out of your way to do that. Very strange. How vindictive of a piece of garbage that you are, that over 1 4-hour stream, 4.5, that's almost 5 hours, almost 5 hour stream, you're out there doing a call to arms not long after the stream ended, which is interesting because shouldn't you be in bed with your wife? I mean, for any other man, they'd be in bed with her. So what are you doing up that late anyway, tweeting about that? I don't want to hear shit about, oh, someone sent it to me and that. No, you were sitting there watching all that because you were big mad in those tweets. And a lot of the things that you said was something that would have been perceived from someone who watched it firsthand. So you played yourself. You played yourself talking about, oh, it's on my day off and I couldn't respond. Didn't you respond after the stream on Twitter when you were doing your call to Snorts to get him kicked off of Twitch? I mean, you were already on YouTube. You could have just got into the chat. Maybe Tevin could have brought you in on a Discord. You have one. Maybe you guys could have had a conversation about it then. You're talking about you couldn't respond, oh, I wasn't available to whatever, but you were clearly watching the stream. So you were readily available if you really wanted to go that route. And I'm sure Tevin wouldn't have had a problem hosting you. That didn't happen, though. Huh. And that in this whole thing about I didn't have time to respond. He did this on my day off. I was in a vulnerable situation. Huh? Since when do we have to give an opinion about a business during business hours? Is that where you're trying to go with that? I'm assuming that's what you're going to try to do. Oh, I wasn't open for business, so you can't make. So how was I going to address that complaint? That's funny, Phil. That seems really, really weird. That would be a thing. People talk shit about you at all times of the day. You don't bother responding to them, but you have to respond to Tevin. And then it makes it even stranger that less than a week later, you get caught saying the N-word. And being that, people live rent-free, it seems, and you're still big mad at Tevin. You're big mad at him. It only makes sense that maybe that's the reason why that came out. I'm not trying to imply anything. I'm just saying, Phil, you have quite the hate boner for Tevin, and you always have. And then giving your fucking pathetic excuse about, oh, I just gave him a big ups, a few days before even that. I tried to say that, hey, I'm glad that he's partnered. I'm glad he has over 1,000 subs. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad he's moved on from doing content on me, except for the fact that he still has emotes with my face on it, but I can't do anything about that, which implies that you've tried to do something about it and Twitch won't listen to you. I'm glad he's moved on. I hope more people do it. Then all of a sudden, Tevin has a stream. You call for him to be deplatformed, and then you drop the N-bomb a little bit later on after that. That's really curious. That's really coincidental. But that's just conspiracy theory on my part. I'm just a brain dead, mentally ill detractor, right, Phil? That mentally ill nonsense that probably got you kicked off of Twitch, hateful speech and all that nonsense, right? Right.
Now, things are grim when it comes to me and my presence on YouTube. 8 years of work on DSP Gaming, I cannot monetize anymore. I mean, it's great, and I want to say thank you to those of you who have transitioned over to KO Gaming in the last week. Those videos are monetized, and if you guys haven't noticed, those videos are very long. I'm now putting out very long videos on a daily basis instead of the old 10-minute parts I used to do on DSPGaming. The videos on KO Gaming,
which gonna see something really, really fast. Now, Phil. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for any of you guys who, well, you don't have to play poker or anything like that to know what a tell is. Phil has a bunch of tells. He has a shitload of them. I've kind of been thinking about putting a compilation together of some of his different tells, but there's so goddamn many, and there's so much to go through. And the older ones, I would have to go back to the older ones, and then we would do a progression to the newer ones, and then it would definitely make a little bit more sense because you could see it, you have a better understanding of it. He has a shitload of tells, a shitload of them, and when he put his head down, when he talked about the 10-minute videos, that was shame. Ladies and gentlemen, that was shame. And he does that a lot. In his early begging videos, he used to do that a lot too. He used to put his head down when he had to beg or he had to plead for help and shit, like a beaten animal. It was really sad. It shows how his confidence is broken. People make the argument that he's prideful. He's not prideful. A prideful person doesn't beg. I don't give a fuck what anybody says about that. Yet again, an opinion is an opinion, so it is what it is. But he's not prideful. He has no pride. He doesn't know jack shit about pride at all. Just because he's a narcissist doesn't make him prideful. And that he has nothing to be proud of. And he knows it. But that's just my opinion. In any case, though, I want you to take another look when he talks about the 10-minute videos and he immediately looks down. I will try to pause it right at that moment. But that's shame. The same type of shame he's going to have when he ends up back on mommy and daddy's doorstep. Because you really think he's going to be able to sustain himself for a couple years doing what he's doing now? Even if he gets back on Twitch as an affiliate, you really think he's going to be able to sustain himself? You think he's really going to be able to keep this going? He's already bleeding these people dry. He's been bleeding them dry for a while. And some of the whales who are coming out of the woodworks or who are under multiple sock accounts or whatnot, I've heard plenty of names being thrown around, mainly Planet Jeff. You think he's really going to keep doing all this? Shit, Jax was a fucking idiot a couple of weeks ago when he gave Phil that $1,000 tip on Street Fighter that night. That was 2 weeks ago, in my current timeline. He was an idiot giving him $1,000. He could have gave him $100 over the next 10 days instead of doing that. And once Phil got that $1,000, what happened? Came back the next day begging like it never happened. What was the point of that? And secretly Phil was pissed off about it too, because when he gets large donations like that, now he can't bleed the other suckers. Greed is greed. And certainly, greed is his creed. But back to the shameful part.
haven't noticed, those videos are very long. I'm now putting out very long videos on a daily basis instead of the old 10-minute parts I used to do on DSPGaming. The videos on KO.
Right there, when he looked down, that's him admitting defeat. And it's beautiful how it happens too, because they have been fighting him for so long, saying, please go to the longer format. Please go to the longer format. He didn't want to do it because he knew so much. He knew so damn well. He was so fucking right about every goddamn thing. And he had to concede to them. And he hates that. He hates them. So him looking down is a pretty good tell. It's one of many though. Like I said, he got a bunch of them. Like how he fucking plays with the back of his ear, or he touches his foot, his opposite shoulder. He has a bunch of them, especially when he's lying, or like when he picks at his face, shit like that. He's got a crap load of them.
Those videos are very long. I'm now putting out very long videos on a daily basis instead of the old 10-minute parts I used to do on DSPGaming. The videos on KO Gaming are like 1-2 hours long, which is what you guys have asked me for years. You said just make long gameplay videos that are more archives of your streams rather than these ridiculously short parts. So I'm doing exactly what you want, and I'm trying to make it so that those who still like my YouTube videos and watching my content on YouTube can still watch it. But I'm going to be very upfront and honest with you guys. I need your help. If you guys want
But see, here's the problem. The reason why you have so limited help is because all the people who made these demands of you all those years prior gave up on you. And he knows that. He ran, and that yet again goes back to the shame part. He's sitting here having to concede to these people because he wanted to do things the way he wanted to do them, and he lost all of that support from the audience. Essentially, they drifted away. They went on to do other shit. So the people that are still here, and he basically says this, the people that are still here, I need to bleed you guys to make up for those who would be here if I did what they want, if I had done what they wanted me to do the years prior. He fucked himself, and he knows it. So he's using these people to autocorrect, which is kind of what you see with the tip goals, or even with the vest goals originally, where, hey, for you guys who are here, I need you guys to compensate me, or I need you guys to pick up the extra slack for the people that aren't here, because some nights they'd hit the tip goal like that. Easy. Like, people forget, even before the whole double vest goal, Mr. Potato Head situation, when it was just a single vest goal and whatnot, he still made on certain nights. He was still pulling $200, $300, $400 off one vest. Easy. And then on the next night, they barely hit the vest goal. Barely. And that's when all the begging went ahead and proceeded. And you would think with that excess of money that was made the day before, why couldn't that trickle over to the next stream? Oh, well, I can't do that. I'm running a business. But if you don't hit the vest goal on the first stream, you expect to hit the vest goal on the second stream, and you expect to have the compensation to make up for the first one. So we can do it that way, but we can't do it this way? Think about that. Think about that very clearly.
Upload videos to YouTube. At this point, since I'm making no money whatsoever on DSP Gaming, and I'm making almost nothing on KO Gaming, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment, I need you to help support everything, all right? So what's the situation?
I need you guys to help fund everything. Let's bring that back. I need you guys to fund everything. I fucked up because I'm sitting around here using dummied AdSense accounts, which he admitted. So this is on record. I used dummy AdSense accounts, and I got fucked over because I was using false information. So now my main channel can't be monetized. And you know that's a dummy AdSense account, because for you guys who weren't around at this time, you're probably thinking, or you should be thinking, maybe. You don't have to think anything. Just sit back and chill. But you might be considering, that's probably a better term, you might be considering, how is it that DSP Gaming is demonetized, but yet KO Gaming and King of Hate Vlogs are still monetized? How does that work? Well, that's a very fucking interesting question. That goes back to these dummy AdSense accounts he was running around with for whatever reason. And he even admitted to having a dummy AdSense account when he ended up reaching out to YouTube's AdSense support for Google or for YouTube, one of the two. And he had to admit to them that, hey, he was running around with basically a fake AdSense account, which should have been enough of a reason to have him demonetized permanently, because that's a blatant break of TOS. You can't have more than one AdSense account. Very, very weird. Very, very strange. It's amazing how that happens.
On KO Gaming, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment, I need you to help support everything, all right? So what's the situation? I used to have a ton of income coming from DSP Gaming. On a monthly basis, I'd say 30 to 40%.
That's funny, because he said that he wasn't making enough money off DSP Gaming, and that's the reason why he had to go back to Twitch. And then when he lost his monetization, when he lost the partnership with Machinima, it was like, I'm going to lose the house, and I got taxes, and all this nonsense. Then you guys got to get me another MCN ASAP. If not, I'm going to lose everything. We go to Curse. Okay, things are a little bit better, and I'm making way more money now with Curse than I'm ever made with Machinima, but I still need you guys to support. Still need you guys to come through, because I'm barely making ends meet. Then we run to Fotabi Fotabi and Laveria. And Laveria Media, that turned out to be a big ass honeypot. So then he had to jump back to Curse. He was lucky enough for them to take him back. Jesus Christ, if we did like an alternate history on Phil, I'm gonna do that. I want to do that now. I want to do a what if on if certain little aspects have happened in Phil's fucking internet life and shit, if they had gone out the way they probably should have, that would have been amazing. Another thing I've been thinking about too is doing or at least starting up, if you will, like an iceberg theory about Darksydephil. You know, and you guys, I'm sure you guys know what the iceberg things are, where, you know, well-known knowledge, and then you start, as you go deeper and deeper, you go into less known information, and then the theories and all that nonsense. I feel like that'd be fun. And I feel like that'd be really, really fun. But I don't know how I'm going to start that. And then if people want to contribute to it, I got to figure out how I would go about it. And then there's a lot more research that we need to go into that, which would be great. Actually, I don't mind that at all. So that's something to think about too. That's something, but definitely like a what if series. And I'm doing some anime content now, so we do a lot of what if stuff over there. So I'm thinking about doing that, like a what if type scenario. Not sure when yet, but I've gotten written down. I'm going to actually rewrite it down in a minute. But I'm thinking about doing that. But it'd been amazing to go back and see how things could have gone. And when I mean what if, I mean not just in the negative, but in the quote-unquote positive too. If certain things would have played out. If he would have just learned his place, if you will. If he would have just played his, sat down, stick to the script and play his part. It'd have been amazing. Who knows what the situation could be. And so, that's something to think about. I might bring in... like James the Lesser, Agent Proper. I may even bring some of you guys in on that too. Like I could probably just get you guys just to record something and I could just add it to the video later. That'd be dope. That'd be dope. Holy shit. Yeah, let me make a notation of that. And like I said, we'll talk about that at a later time and date. I'll do a poll or something on the community thread and I'll gauge you guys on that. That might be fun though. That'd be great. That'd be great. But anyway, back to my original point. Sorry. Sorry. So professional. But yeah, he said that he was barely making ends meet, which is the reason why he had to go to being a full-time streamer in the first place. Now all of a sudden DSPGaming is completely demonetized, and now all of a sudden, wow, we were making a shitload of money over there and I don't understand what happened. Ironically enough, ladies and gentlemen, it's no different than what you guys have heard over the last couple of weeks. Oh, I lost my monetization on Twitch and I was making thousands upon thousands of dollars a month and it's gone. Well, wait, Phil, you said you barely had money for groceries. So how the fuck were you making thousands upon thousands of dollars and you were barely able to make ends meet? Matter of fact, how the fuck is someone who's making over 100,000 plus a year barely making ends meet when he's literally in the top? He has to be within the top 10, at least top 10, I would think. Top 10 or 15% of Washington State's of Washington's income, of a Washington State income, I should say. He has to be in the top 15%. Has to be at least top 20. He has to be in the top 20. And I wonder if someone has looked into that yet. I hope so. If not, we can reconvene on that later on. Or if anybody knows, please lay it down in the comment section. I'll very much appreciate it. But I'm pretty confident he's in like the top 20. So how the fuck are you barely making ends meet? And then, you know what I'm saying? Because Pepperidge Farm remembers, you just got all that credit card debt discharged. So there's no credit cards to worry about anymore. It's amazing how as soon as the bankruptcy was granted, once the credit cards were gone, once the supposed business loans, if that was in there, it might have been, once those got discharged, even if the business loans weren't on there and just the credit cards, it's funny how all of that got discharged, but all of a sudden we flat broke. Which is funny because what happened to the money that you used to use to make your fucking minimum monthly payments on those credit cards? Tell me that. This idiot had between 12 and 14 goddamn credit cards and he was making the minimum monthly payments on them. The shit gets discharged and all of a sudden all those minimum monthly payments are gone. And given the amounts, and though we don't know what the interest rates are, but given the amounts that were on those credit cards, he was easily paying hundreds of dollars to each one of those credit cards. At minimum, I would assume, given what his credit score probably is, or probably was at that time, he was easily paying $100 plus to those credit cards. At least to the big ones too. The big ones, he was definitely paying $150 a month, easily. So let's put this in perspective. And this is just a wild guess on my part because that's what I do. He was easily dropping $1,200 to $1,500 a month just on credit card debt, on just his credit card payments. And I'm being generous with that. I'm being generous. I'm saying at least $1,500, at the least, at the minimum $1,500. And then Keep in mind, this idiot was still paying. He's not an idiot because he was paying this. Well, he is an idiot because he was paying that. He was also paying a mortgage payment on the house in Connecticut until he got married. And that was April of 2018. No, I'm wrong. You got married. My bad. You got married April 10th of 2019. Yeah, you got married April 2019 because Catherine moved in February of 2018. You guys got married the following year. Okay, cool. My bad. Sorry about that, guys. I'm glad I caught that. So, and remember, when he was there, that's when he laid out his 10-year plan to Mommy Brunel. And that's when she was like, I don't know why, I didn't know that she was a financial expert or guru or whatever the case may be, but she told him to stop making the mortgage payment. At least that's what he told us. So he did. So and that was at least $1,500 plus. I don't want to hear anything about the $400 that legally he's obligated to pay over there. That's $1,500 there. So just off of the credit cards that were discharged through the bankruptcy, and then the money that he wasn't paying on the mortgage anymore in Connecticut, that's $3,000 minimum. And yet we're broke. Yet we're barely able to get groceries. We're barely able to feed Jasper. Though we saw Jasper just a couple of days ago, and Jasper's looking plump. He looking all right. he looks disinterested, but he looking all right. So big up to the declawed one, Jasper Kitty Brunel. So what exactly? It's amazing how all of this financial incompetence just exists. It's fucking amazing. But let's continue though.
Monthly income was from ad revenue on DSPGaming. That has now gone to zero. I'm making nothing whatsoever on DSPGaming for a week, and it looks like it may be permanent at this point. On KO Gaming, it's great that you guys have gone over there and you're watching the videos, but just to give you some perspective, I went from making 30 to 40% of my revenue on YouTube. I now make $10 a day. $10 a day on KO Gaming with the videos that I uploaded this past week.
This is something I need to talk to Agent Proper about, and I'd probably get James Lester in there. I'd like to get Declan Reed in there, Ghostly Wins. There's a few people I want to talk to about this. Definitely G Money. And when I big ups to all y'all, I haven't got a chance to talk to you guys in a really long time. I hope you guys are doing all right. I really, really hope you guys are doing all right. God, it's been almost like a year since I've spoken to some of you guys. Shit. But anyway, sorry. I'd like to speak to them on that. I know I've talked to G Money about this before. So here's my scenario. All right. Since I'm already talking a lot anyway, right? Phil in his heyday, in his peak, I should say, he was probably pulling about between 200 and 250,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? I'd say in his best years, which was probably only 2 or 3 years, by the way, he made about $250,000. In 2017, Medicare had said that from all the things that he saw, his calculations that other people had done, in 2017, Mr. Medicare said that Phil had made somewhere at 1.7. He was at $1.7 million. He had made over the span on the internet. Now, granted, there's a shitload of variables. There's a lot of shit missing, but that's basically what they were looking at. $1.7 million up till 2017. Now, we're obviously in 2021, so yet again, you're going to go ahead and add 4 more years onto that. I think it's fair to say he's made about $2 million in his existence on fucking YouTube. It's strange to me how he has nothing to show for it. Like, he owns nothing. I want you to really, really think about this for a minute. He doesn't own that house. He's still paying on that house. He doesn't own that car. He's still paying on that car. He doesn't own the Connecticut, the condo in Connecticut. He's still liable for that. He doesn't own anything. He has nothing of, when I mean value, when I'm about to say value, I should say, I mean like he doesn't have anything that's truly appreciating in a substantial way over time. Don't be wrong. He has a shitload of collectibles and everything. that may go up $100 or more each and every year, but he doesn't have any real valuables. He doesn't own any stocks and bonds. He doesn't own any bullion. He doesn't have any rare coins. He doesn't own anything. He doesn't own anything. You've been able to make $2 million. I'm going to put my stamp on it right now. You've been able to make $2 million over the span of time on the internet, and you don't got a goddamn thing to show for it. You don't have anything to show for that at all. Nothing. Which makes it even crazier, because if he actually put in effort, not now, he's dead now. He's dead in the water now. I don't want to, obviously you guys have the right to go ahead and comment on that or have opposing thoughts or whatever. He's dead in the water now. He's done. There is no fixing this. He's done. And he knows that just as well as all of most of you, I should say, know that. So there's no fixing that. But he had a chance. He had a chance over the years to fix this, to straighten this stuff out, to do right by himself, for himself, and squandered it. Whenever he gets in trouble, run to somebody else. Whenever he gets into a situation, fix this. You need to contribute to this. You need to help me with this. On top of that, who knows who's giving him money behind the scenes, and then the money that mommy and daddy gave him. So then when we talk about that $2 million, let's not even talk about what mommy and daddy had been contributing to him essentially his entire life, or certainly his entire online life. Let's not even talk about that. Let's talk about all the money he was getting behind the scenes. Like that $1,100 we don't speak about, that Tevin had spoken of when Phil was forced to go to Streamlabs. Remember that? It was on a live stream. Tevin was like, hey, it's interesting how he doesn't bring up this leaderboard, and he goes ahead and shows the leaderboard. There it goes, $1,100 from some name that I don't recognize. And that was amazing. Because I didn't know that. I didn't know that they had a leaderboard for tips. I expected for all the other things, and I guess that's kind of naive of me in hindsight now, thinking that there wouldn't be a leaderboard for tips. But of course, Phil would hide that. Phil didn't know either. So in that short amount of time, Phil was getting $1,100 behind the scenes from that one person, and then hundreds of dollars from the people that were underneath it. And some of those people may not have been identified at that time either. So we're talking about at least $2,000 just in that leaderboard, possibly in that leaderboard at that time. Who knows? And that leaderboard, I think, ladies and gentlemen, was just for that week, not for the month. So if, let's say, that was a weekly leaderboard, well, then how much did he get behind the scenes the week before? And the week before that? How much is he getting now? He's not being transparent about that, because the moment Tevin went ahead and let that shit out the bag, 24 hours later, less than that actually, right after that stream, I believe, that shit disappeared. People could see it, and then all of a sudden they couldn't. Matter of hours. It was gone. Darksydephil immediately removed that. Now, given the situation with Anonymous and some of them other dudes over there, do you think a mod would be the one to go like, hey, Phil, I know you're in financial straits and you always beg us for money and everything and you can barely make your bills. A detractor just revealed that there's a tip leaderboard on Streamlabs. Maybe you want to take care of that? And then he did it. I don't think so. I think Phil was watching the stream. Phil was watching he saw the broadcast later on, if you will, and he was like, oh, I got to get rid of that. And so he did. And so now, and that was like a year or two ago. Who knows how much money had been given to him week after week after week doing that shit. Planet Jeff's been kind of quiet. It would be in Planet Jeff's favor, and to be honest, to go ahead and do something like that and then use the mini sock accounts that he's alleged to have. Maybe Brightside Viking. I don't know if Brightside Viking contributes to him or not. But if he does, and he's not doing it under his regular name, if you will, or his known alias or aliases, that might be a good way to contribute too without drawing a whole lot of attention to yourself. I'm just saying, even though Phil lied about the amount of information he sees through PayPal, semantics, that sounds like a good way to go about it too. That right there should be, and fairly said, estimated to go ahead and be put to that overall total. And then at current, Phil don't count super chats. And he gets a lot of them, and they're trollish as shit. But that's a lot of money coming in too, and he don't want to count that towards the tips goal. And it's funny. It's almost like the tips leaderboard on the Streamlabs leaderboard on Twitch, where I don't want you guys to know exactly how much money I'm making off super chats. Only focus on the tips. That's all and the memberships. Just focus on those two. Don't focus on or don't worry about what I'm getting in super chats. I don't want you to worry about that, which is ironic because if I think back to 2017 Internet Blood Sports, or if I think back to the Vic Mignogna situation for Nick Rekieta, as well as others, they made a lot of money in super chats. And not that I'm shitting on either one of those two for any particular reason, just an example. They made a lot of money in super chats. A whole lot. Especially Nick Rekieta during that Vic Mignogna situation. He was pulling in. Whew, I remember watching some of those streams, boy. For one, they're entertaining as fucking two. The money was rolling in. Especially when Mr. Shane Hunberg brought his ass up there. I think his name is Hunberg or whatever. When Shane brought his ass up there and made a complete nut out of himself. That was, to see a man be publicly executed like that over and over and over again was insane. After that first hour, he should have given up. But no, Nick just let himself kept digging. Nick didn't even cut him up. Drawn and quartered is what I'm thinking of. Nick didn't even have to. The guy did it himself. He cut his own arm off. He cut his own legs off. Jesus Christ, damn near castrated himself too. That shit was ridiculous. Never seen someone talk themselves into the grave like that. Amazing. Fucking amazing. Anyway, or let's go back over to Ralph. During the internet Bloodsport days and shit, he made a lot of money when he was on YouTube and then when he was forced to go to all those other platforms. Made a ridiculous amount of money, but mainly on YouTube. Made a shitload of money in super chats. Made a bunch of it. Bunch of it. And he had heavy tippers too. You know what I'm saying? Ralph had plenty of heavy tippers at that time, and super chats still beat that out more often than not. So just yet again, keep that in mind. This idiot has made a lot of money. And because of that is the reason why budgeting doesn't exist. Now, does that mean that you guys shouldn't speak on budgeting or anything like that? No, you should definitely talk about it. You're going to find out very quickly that it's futile. Unless you're doing it in like a what if scenario. He's never going to budget. It's too late. He always needed to. You always need to have a budget, whether money is good or not. But he's never learned that. That's not a lesson that was ever instilled in him. So he don't do it. There's a lot of things that weren't instilled in him, to be honest. Certainly common sense. Certainly being courteous in any type of way, shape, or form. He's rude to everybody because he hates everybody. He's an antisocial little fucking cuck, to be honest with you, and he's never going to be anything more than that. And that's what he draws to him. Not everybody, but the majority of them. They're all just like him. Jax, I think, on his Twitter profile says that the dude's antisocial. He readily puts it out there like such. And he at least from what I've seen on Twitter, he kind of carries himself as such. And he's one of many Darksydephil followers that do that. And is like that. So, yet again, just something to take into consideration on how much money this tard has made. And how much he's been making. And he's been cried broke for multiple years. Without any real logic behind it. At all. And if you think about it, at the end of 2017, because he's dropped in value monumentally over the years. At the end of 2017, Eddie B43, he still exists. You can still find him on, I don't know if he uses KiwiFarms like that anymore. But he's on Tevin's stream every once in a while. If you look, you can definitely find him there. I think you can still find him on Twitter too. But Eddie B43 and the artist formerly known as Secret Life of DSP, now only known as Secret. Speaking of which, someone was inquiring am I going to go over his top 10 moments? Yes. I've watched it before, obviously, absolutely fucking amazing. But I need to go back through it And I was waiting. I'm still waiting for, I should say. I'm still waiting on Agent Proper's, because I'm anxious to see what he does, unless it's already out and I missed it. I hope not. And Ludwig World Order. I'm waiting for theirs as well. I hope they drop them soon. Well, maybe not soon. I just whenever it's ready. But I hope they still drop them. So I'm still waiting on that. To be honest, but yes, I will eventually go over that. But then again, before I even hit that, where am I at now with that? 2015 is already out. I already did that one. I did 16. I gotta do 2017, and that's gonna be rough. That's easily 8 hours right there. There's so much to talk about. Fuck. And then when you get into that SOK shit, I had looked through the threads to try to get an idea on what some of that is, and the more you look, the worse it gets. I don't know if I mean, I'm gonna do it. You know me, I'm gonna do it. It's just some of that stuff you just don't got. Some of that stuff is hard to have a stomach for. Some of that stuff's hard to have a stomach for. It is what it is. Anyway, I'm gonna do it. But yeah. Anyway, but so that's the thing. But yeah. So eventually we'll get to that. We'll get to his 2020. But like I said, I hope Agent Proper and Ludwig still do theirs too. So, but I'll definitely do it in order as it pertains to who released theirs. So that'll be a thing. I'll get to it eventually. All right, here. Anyway, we talked about the money he's made. I brought it back a little bit. So let me play it and then we'll continue. Let's bring it there, I guess.
I now make $10 a day. $10 a day on KO Gaming with the videos that I uploaded this past week. Now, undoubtedly, the more videos I upload over
Okay, that's what it was. Here, give me a second. I'm gonna bring it back just a little bit further. I think he said like 30 or 40%, and that was kind of my main point.
$10 a day. $10 a day.
Am I still not far? Am I still not far enough?
It may be permanent at this point. On KO Gaming, it's great that you guys have gone over there and you're watching the videos, but just to give you some perspective, I went from making 30 to 40% of my revenue on YouTube. I now make $10 a day.
Okay.
$10.
Now, that was my main point. Sorry. The end of 2017, Eddie B43 and Secret Life, or the artist formerly known as Secret Life of DSP, now known as Secret, did a small compilation video that they put together with Phil's with an estimate, I should say, of what his yearly income was. Now, they said in this little clip, it's only like a minute and a half long or something like that. I know I have it on a hard drive somewhere. That it didn't account for everything. It was essentially just Twitch, YouTube, maybe Teespring was, well, now it's just called Spring now. But maybe Teespring was factored into that. But not everything, because there were other little things in play. Like, I think One Up Box was still a thing. He had other Loot Crate. There's some other things that he was still doing that wasn't factored. But it was somewhere between 90... I want to say it was between $94,000 and $98,000 but that year, at the end of 2017. Okay? Since he's been doing his begging and everything on Twitch, he's pulling 100,000 plus just off Twitch. That's not counting YouTube. That's not counting Patreon. That's not counting, if any, sales that he's pulling on Teespring. So when we talk about Phil's finances yet again, and we talk about the 100,000 a year that he pulls, we're only talking about Twitch. We're not talking, at least when I talk about it, I'm not talking about YouTube. I'm not talking about Patreon. I'm just talking about Twitch. So the fact that he's saying right here on YouTube, I've lost 30 to 40%, which is probably a lie, but he lost 30 or 40% of his ad revenue, right? I need you to go ahead and remember back to the 250,000 a year he was making in his better years, and then the 100,000 and in decline that he was making the following years. So when you get to 2017, he was only pulling 45,000 off YouTube. Think about that. Now that you've taken all that into play, at this time he's only been off of DSPGaming had only been demonetized for like 8 days, and he talking about he lost 30 to 40% of his fucking income in 8 days. Just to give you guys an idea of how much money this guy has been he's been leaking, how much money he's been losing. That's all he's been doing. Even though it looks like, at least back then on YouTube, it looks like he was bringing in a lot of viewership. He really wasn't. Or even if it looks like he was making a lot of money, he really wasn't. He was in a constant decline. And even if he is playing the best AAA games or the newest hot shit that comes out or whatever, that don't help him because he can't keep viewership for long periods of time. So he gets a spike, and then it immediately it flatlines. And he has admitted this later on too. So in actuality, it didn't. He's always been hemorrhaging. That was the word I was looking for. He's always been hemorrhaging money. Always. Despite how much he gets, it always ends up getting pissed away somewhere else. So even at this point, his little 40,000 a year, not even little, but you know what I mean, his little 45,000 a year, I think at this point was easily cut down into the 20,000s. That's how much of a fucking failure this idiot is. And he did that in a few short years. That's how bad this idiot fell. And yet again, that was his own fault. He was the one who sat there and ran over there to Twitch, right? Because he had fucked himself out of the machinima contract and curse later on down the line. He ended up screwing himself out of all that shit, and he ran out of options. And his debt back then was big, certainly, because he was putting everything on fucking credit cards instead of paying stuff in cash, instead of paying shit off. So he had reserves. It was like, look at it this way for a second, and then we'll move on. So let's say Darksydephil gets a fucking credit card of fucking, well, was his highest credit line was off the documents was maybe like 14,000. It might have been higher than that actually. It might have been, but let's say 10,000. He gets a credit card line of $10,000. He doesn't look at it as, okay, this is $10,000 that I'm borrowing that I have to pay back. He looks at it as, oh, this is $10,000 that I can spend, that I can use any way I see fit, and eventually I'll pay it back. Well, that eventually, ladies and gentlemen, ends up fucking him over when the interest rates finally come up. So then the next thing he does is opens up another credit card and does a balance transfer. Now, that $10,000 that was on that original card is now a fresh card. And now he has zero interest rate. He has a zero interest rate, or APR, on this credit card, or he has a really, really low interest rate. So now we right back to spending 10 grand again. Oh, we good. I can put my taxes on this. I can do whatever, which is another retarded thing that this idiot was doing. Paying his taxes with a goddamn credit card. Fucking stupid. Anyway, so then we do that. Once he runs that credit card up, over to the next one. On to the next one. On to the next one. Now $10,000 ain't turned into $60,000. $80,000. $100 and something thousand. You guys kind of catching my drift? And he never has any real intention of paying any of that back because it's not useful to him. So all this guy was doing was essentially basically doing merry-go-rounds with all of his credit cards. Just sending one shit to another shit to another shit over and over and over again. Matter of fact, let's give you guys a little bit more lore. When he went, I'm sure you guys have gone over this because I know Tevin as well as Agent Proper have done this. You go back and look at the moving vlogs. No, the house hunting vlogs. That's even better. He admitted that he was putting everything on a credit card. And, I'm getting all these rewards by spending I got all these rewards racked up on my credit card, so that's why I'm spending it. We're not spending any money. We're trying to save up for as much as we can. Yada, yada, yada. You have to spend money to get those rewards up in the first place, Phil. That's the first thing. And secondly, on frequent flyer miles, maybe. But all those restaurants and all that takeout and all those fucking souvenirs and shit you bought, bitch, who the fuck you playing with? You ain't sat there and spent up on all that shit. Yes, it's accumulating points or it's accumulating cash rewards and shit, but that's not what you were using to pay for those trips, man. Who you fooling? Who you fooling? And I would assume in the 4 days, maybe 5 days, but I think it's 4 days. The 4 days they were in Seattle, they easily drummed up $3,000-$4,000. Easy. Well, hotel. Let's not say 3,000 or 4,000. That's a bit excessive. I'll say two. Maybe 2,500. Because they were eating pretty liberal. they were out there. He was out there feeding the gout before he actually had gout, by the way. But he was really feeding the gout. So let's not say $4,000. Let's say two. Let's say two. Like between the hotel, between all the fucking traveling they did, all the traveling they did around the city. I think they went by cab because I don't remember him saying anything about renting a car, especially since the realtor actually picked them up to go to and from. Even if he did have to rent a car, that's still gonna cost him a little bit. Yeah, I'd say they easily dropped like $2,000 out there. Especially since Panda's gonna want some things, so he paid for all that stuff. He definitely dropped money out there. And then keep in mind, with that situation in play, they were supposed to go to Florida and they were supposed to go to Texas. So you're talking about easily, just to go house hunting, you're talking about he could have potentially spent $7,000-$8,000. And then when they moved, he put all that on a credit card. Said it was $10,000 to move. It wasn't $10,000 to move, by the way. It was $4,000 to move. It says it's in one of his house tours for the Snort Fort in Washington. He said it was $4,000. The other $6,000, ladies and gentlemen, came to any other expenses that they may have racked up on top of what it took to furnish the house. Meaning, you know what I'm saying, like the TVs, the furniture, all that shit. Essentially what furnishing a house means. That's where the $10,000 came from. And I'm still of the theory that he may have solicited donations to his PayPal to help pay for that. I can't prove that. Like I said, it's a theory. It's not exactly a Theo theory, but it's a theory that I think he solicited money for that. Because Phil has been taking money, air quotes, behind the scenes through PayPal going back as far as 2008. 2009, certainly. I've gone over that video on this channel. So that right there is a thing. And it's possible. Matter of fact, he said that the donations that he was getting behind the scenes, actually, or through his PayPal and whatnot, helped him get his original condo in Connecticut. It helped. Anyway, let's continue.
A day on KO Gaming with the videos that I uploaded this past week. Now, undoubtedly, the more videos I upload over there, it's going to build up a body of work, and I'm going to start making more very slowly. And especially with August, September, October coming up and all the new game releases, as long as you guys keep heading over to KO Gaming and watching those videos on KO Gaming, yes, I will make a little bit more revenue. But the whole point of this is I was making it all depends on what game, but, way more money than that on YouTube, to the point where...
I gotta bring that back. I gotta bring that back for two reasons. One, I accidentally jumped in a little too soon. And two, he almost exposed himself on how much he was gonna say. He already told you about his little 30% bullshit, 30 to 40%, but he almost let the cat out of the bag on how much money he was making. And that's the thing that fucks up Phil more than anything. How the fuck do you cry broke and you're barely making any money doing this job of yours, running this business that you allegedly have? It's not a business, by the way. He's an employee. I don't care what anybody says. He's an employee. He doesn't own anything. He doesn't invest in the infrastructure because there is no infrastructure. He's a fucking employee. End of story. With that being said, the reason he lies about his income, he cries broke all the fucking time and shit. He pig squeals about the dumbest, greediest shit, that when he actually has to explain how much money he has to make up for, he has to contradict everything that he said beforehand. I've already given you the example recently about what he said when he lost his Twitch partnership, or monetization, I should say. That's what this fucking idiot is. That's why no one believes him. That's why no one believes him. And the people that do give him money, eventually they're going to stop. Look at Brightside Viking. This dude used to give him... In 2017, that dude dropped thousands upon thousands on Phil. Easily. He was dropping crazy money on him. And then it stopped. Because I can't remember exactly what the detail... Well, I probably do, but maybe I don't remember it with the level of clarity that I can really go in depth with it. But he had a situation where he was basically changing jobs. And so income changed with it. Basically. And it was because of that change in jobs, right? The fact that Brightside Viking was out there trying to fight Phil's war for him, because that's what Brightside Viking is. He's a sergeant at arms, and he goes out there and he cleans up the fucking mess, right? Or at least he tried to. And he sat there and pissed off all those dudes at KiwiFarms by threatening their families and their kids and shit. That eventually, you know what I'm saying? Phil stabbed his ass in the back to try to save himself on Twitch, because he thought all the negative activity that Brightside Viking was bringing onto him, fighting Phil's wars, by the way, was going to come back and hurt him in a negative way. So he had to fucking stab Brightside Viking in the back. He gave him the Blood Eagle treatment. The irony of all that is, look at how Phil's own actions later on down the line off the site ended up getting him knocked out of the partnership program, or off of the monetization, I should say, with Twitch. That's ironic. He was so worried about Brightside Viking bringing negative attention to him that he decided to stab a long-time confidant in the back. I'll get into that in a second. And yet Phil's own words and actions end up fucking him over later. Back to Brightside Viking real quick. Brightside Viking, whatever you may think about him, since apparently he's dropping N-bombs again. I mean, but he's good for that, though. Brightside Viking has always been loyal to Phil, to be honest. And he wasn't just his sergeant in arms, in the fact that he went ahead and took on any detractor who was willing to talk to him and shit, right? And he was willing to defend Phil on almost every little thing, at least in public. In private, he may have actually chastised Phil, but that's an assumption. Couldn't tell you. He was a confidant. Like, Phil trusted him. Like, Phil talked to him about shit. Not just shit related to this. Phil talked to him about shit, because he was the only person he could really trust. Brightside Viking worked himself into a position that no person after him has ever made it to. You know what I'm saying? People tried to pay for that. Swaggins tried to for a number of years. You saw how much of a bitch he got turned out to be. A lot of people have tried to pay for what Brightside Viking was, or try to pay for his position, or try to fill that role, but no one can ever do that. Ever. And all the emphasis that I'm putting on that, and Phil still stabbed him in the back. Phil still fucked him over. What does that tell you? I mean, shit, look at John and Howard. Well, maybe not Howard, because Howard was never a friend, according to Phil. His words, not mine. Howard was never a friend, and he was more of an associate. He only was hanging around us because he was cool. He was really cool with John more than anything, which is even more ironic, because when Phil was leaving Connecticut to move to Washington in 2014, he guilt-tripped Howard into coming over and finishing this last playthrough with him, and said, and I quote, "If you don't come over here and help me with this playthrough, we were never really friends." Let that sink in. And then John, which is Christ, he loved John. He loved John. And look at what he did to him. Which is even more ironic, because let me save that. let me save that. That's a gem that I just thought about recently. Let me keep that. So, just to give you guys an idea of where loyalty kind of, falls in this equation, in this situation, I should say. Think about that. Clearly, very clearly think about that.
Make a little bit more revenue, but the whole point of this is I was making some, it all depends on what game, but, way more money than that on YouTube.
I'm going to bring that back for you real quick, too. All right, so I was making an enormous amount of money. He almost let it leak, but he didn't. He caught himself at the last minute. But the part that I also want you to focus on is it depends on the game. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for any of you guys who are connoisseurs of this bacon that I put out there for you guys, that if you guys appreciate my wares, if you will, in any type of way, shape, or form, you know that I love poking fun at the fact that Phil likes to say that what he does is his work of art, right? And games are the ingredients in which he makes his work of art, to quote him directly. So let's play off that analogy. Okay, so video games are your canvas, right? And you are the artist, and then your commentary, your personality, your flair for the dramatics, or your insight, or your comedic acumen adds to this whole situation, yeah? Okay. Now, this is someone who has admitted that he steals jokes from other people to get over. Keep that in mind. This is someone else who also said that he had no value in his life at anything and in anything until he started doing YouTube videos. Keep that in mind. You needed video games to succeed because you had nothing else to offer. Period. Games have been carrying him for years. The only thing that he has to say, the only claim to fame, if you will, is that he played enough of the AAA games as early enough as possible to make him relevant. That was it. He had nothing else at all. And to add to that, if you guys will, I have been watching some of these videos from these older fans of Phil. Like really old. Like not really old, but like some of them are probably older than I am, but these older fans, right? Oh, they're probably right around my age, maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. I think some of them are a little bit older. Anyway, some of these older fans. And guys who used to watch him when Phil started, he was just a kid. Some of these guys were just kids and shit. They were like 10, 11, whatever the case may be. And or they were in their teens, like, you know what I'm saying, like 14, 15, or whatever, when they started watching Phil. And they thought he was funny. They thought he was amusing. They thought he was cool. And then they grew up. They went ahead and, left the content and whatnot for a while, went on to do their own thing, and they come back expecting, oh, well, Darksydephil's probably big, in a story that mirrors Almighty Tevin's story in a lot of ways, if you guys know that lore. They end up coming back, and they see that there's all this fucking hate content on him, and that he's an asshole, and he's begging for views, or now he's on Twitch, and he's begging for money and to pay his bills and shit, and save the house, and all this. And a lot of them were like, I tried to sit there and watch the videos, but they're terrible. Like, they weren't funny. They were hateful. And then, like, the begging videos were just egregious. Like, some of them even said, I don't really know how I looked up to you like that. I guess it's because I was just young and I was just really stupid and shit, or I was really impressionable or whatever. Not to say that they're making excuses or whatever, but I say that to say this. A lot of of the people who watched his content were just that. They were children. They were fucking kids. They were easily impressionable. Everybody else, you know what I'm saying, were either mentally or physically handicapped and were experiencing the games and life to some degree through him. Some of those same people who exist now, they're still vicariously living through him, even though he's an utter fucking failure. And I don't want to say that because I don't want to say that's harsh, but that's really fucking harsh, even though that's what I'm good for. A lot of people, right, look at Phil and look at what they could be, but they're not, right? Like, I honestly think a lot of people who have some type of handicap, right, identify with Phil because they see aspects of themselves in Phil. Something that Phil won't acknowledge himself. Because Phil likes to run around here and say mentally ill and this, that, and the third, and yet there's clearly something wrong with him. Clearly there's some fucking underlying issues. There's probably some undiagnosed issues. There's probably a lot. And then that cocktail of medication thing is still a thing too. I mean, yes, we know the cocktail of medication is allegedly a side effect from some type of acne medication or something he was taking as a kid, which brought on depression. But then there are other stories that he's made glimpses of, well, I've had an anger problem for a long time, and I need to do this for this, and I need to do this for that. Just saying. In any case, he has issues just as much as most of the people who watch him. So they identify with that, and they contribute to it, as you've heard many detractors say, that, they want to root for one of their own. They want to root for someone who's out there being picked on, if you will, if you want to call this picking on them, and what, I guess it is, being picked on or being crucial of or whatever, and they want to stand behind them and let them know, hey, you're one of us. It's kind of like that fucking meme that you see with all those tards basically around saying you're one of us type thing. It actually, I mean, I'm not sure if Phil inspired it, but in a lot of ways, it's actually fitting in some ways. In any case, that's what he falls into. This is how those people use him. That's how he looks at this. Take this in real clear. Take this in. This is how those people use him, or at least how Phil perceives these people using him. So they got to pay the toll. If you guys want Phil to stand up and be your champion, so to speak, you guys got to pay the toll. And most of them are more than willing to do it, because a lot of them feel some type of kindred, I want to say camaraderie, but I think for a lot of them it's something deeper. They feel like you can relate to us, but you're cool though. You know, you're cool though. So you don't. So I know that you can somewhat sympathize with our plights, but you're cool though. And because you're cool, and because you're so outspoken and whatnot, you can speak for us and even act in such a way. Act in such a way that we can't. And I find that to be sad, and not necessarily sad in a pathetic sort of way, but I find it sad that for all the people that are out here who champion, or who try to champion, or who try to stand up for people who have physical or mental disabilities and or shortcomings and whatnot, you chose Darksydephil to carry that torch for you. Which in a lot of ways, I'm saddened by the fact that you guys couldn't carry that torch yourself, physically or metaphorically. I'm kind of a bit saddened by that you couldn't find the strength within yourselves to do it. And then you chose someone who's as weak as you guys are. And when I say weak, I mean weak of character. The cards that you were dealt are the cards that you were dealt. But you're certainly weak of character. And you chose someone who's even weaker than you. And by proxy, it's the reason why he doesn't feel the need to do anything about anything, even for his own personal health. It's almost as if he's trying to, over the years, what's the term that they used to use on those drinking games over there with LSP? Over here, I would say reduce, because that's what grease does, essentially, before it hardens as it cools. But I'll use the term that they use over there better. Distill. There we go. He's distilled himself down, or it seems like he's tried to distill himself down to the lowest common denominator. All for that of sympathy. All to keep you guys contributing to him. Which goes back to something that I've said for many, many years. You're killing him. You're slowly but surely killing him. The more you contribute for him, the less reason, the less willingness, if you will, for him to do anything for self. And for that, he's just dying slow. If you always expect someone's going to be there to hold your hand for everything, what incentive do you have to do anything? And none of you guys seem to know that. It's almost as if you guys forgot that you guys were looking to him for that type of emotional support, if you will. Because that's really all it really was, even though emotionally he never had any attachment to any of you. And it ended up warping into this. It ended up warping into this thing where he's now completely and totally dependent on you. He has somehow tricked you guys into changing the roles. So now he's the victim. Now he's the one who needs people to fight for him, not the other way around. And that right there is impressive and yet incredibly manipulative. That right there is not, I wouldn't go as far as calling it evil, but it's certainly a disgusting display of what humanity, of some of the worst aspects of humanity is. Which is the reason why you have people who follow Darksydephil and, in some ways, the actions of his audience anyway. They're the grudges of society, but not in the way that you think. It's their behavior. It's how they perceive the world and how they choose to interact in it. Like, at some point, let's be serious for a minute. I think I've been serious for kind of a second, but you know what I mean. Let's be serious for a minute. When you think about the whole "why am I toxic" meme, right? It's It's not a meme, it's what he is. He's a hateful individual. And after a while, despite what physical or mental limitations that you have to look at that and be like, well, doesn't he want more for himself than that? Doesn't he want more for us? You're there every day. Some of you are anyway. Some of you guys are there every goddamn day to watch this piece of fucking garbage fail. And what does he have to offer? What does he have to offer you? What does he have to offer himself? He's not living for tomorrow. He's not living for the day after that. He's living for the day. He's living for today. He has no concept at all of what tomorrow is going to bring. He doesn't even, he won't plan for it because he don't care. As long as he gets through the day, he thinks that's what it is to be an underdog. To scrounge and beg and plead and survive, if you will, day after day after day. That's not living. That's not thriving. That's not even really survival, to be honest. It's merely existing. But see, he gives you the illusion of struggle. It's that struggle is what keeps putting money in his pocket. It's what convinces people to give up their disability checks month in, month out to help this ass clown. It's what gives these people who work either hard jobs or easy jobs, though realistically no job is easy, but it's reasons like that people who work hard for their money, I should say, will siphon off extra to save him. Let me give you another example of Brightside Viking. So I remember him explaining this at one time or another when someone had probed him about why is it that you give Phil so much money, and he says that I make a lot of money and I take what I need and I spread a little bit of it around. I think he said that he had money for himself to cover his daily stuff, plus he had a little bit extra that he saved. I hope that was true. And everything else is just extra. And so if he was basically like, why should I feel bad for contributing to someone who doesn't have as much as I do? Noble in some ways of looking at it. Now, this is someone who hates me for the color of my skin and not for my character, but yet I'll still say noble to say the very least. Still blatantly ignorant, though. Because whatever you're saving right now, you better times that by 4. And that's still not enough. So realistically, you never have enough money in the bank. So going back to Brightside Viking's situation where he had to leave that job or he was pushed out of that job or whatever that situation was, I can't remember it all now. That extra money that you gave to Phil, let's say half of the money that he gave to Phil would have probably came in handy, huh? Would have been pretty convenient, huh? So for Jax, right, when he gave up that money, that $1,000 tip on to Phil a couple weeks ago, I bet you 500 of that would have been pretty nice to have in the bank right now, wouldn't it? I bet you Rob Warren, who is, I think if I remember correctly, I don't think he can move at all. I think he's completely paralyzed. I wonder if, a good chunk of that disability money, at least half of it, might have been convenient for you. It might have been nice to hold on to that. Just in case. Just in case. But see, that's the problem. You have a bunch of people who live day to day and don't see the bigger picture. The blind leading the blind. So with that type of mentality, Darksydephil preys on that. And for that is the reason why he exists now. Now, I'm not going to get mad at anybody. Not that anybody should care if I get mad, to be honest. But I'm not going to sit here and get mad at people because they choose to throw money at them. I would say you shouldn't. At the end of the day, though, it's your money. You work for it or you collect it in any type of way you collect it. Do what you want with it. Do what you want with it. But it'll never get you anywhere. Not with him. It'll never get you anywhere. Especially if you're someone who is capable of doing more than what he is, wouldn't you putting yourself in a better position essentially help Darksydephil in the long run? Let's go ahead and throw a scenario out. Instead of you giving Phil $100 a week, if you gave him $10 a week and you kept that 90 and you took that 90 to that $90 and invested that in yourself, whether to better your education, better your just general standings in life, just adding to the arsenal, to your repertoire, as Phil likes to call it, adding to your skill set, wouldn't that help Phil in the long run? Wouldn't that help him more in the long run than you giving him $100 and being in the same position as him, if not worse? How many people that actually give Phil money are making what Phil makes a year? Think about that. I would assume not many. I would assume where he's in maybe his top 20% in his own state as it pertains to income, I would assume maybe less than that. I'd say maybe 5% of his fan base might make what he makes, or close. So what does that mean? What does that tell you? And at the end of the day, Phil don't give a goddamn about any of that anyway. Pay me now, because if not, tomorrow is going to be so much worse. Yet he's not really thinking about tomorrow, but he doesn't mind instilling the fear that I'm not going to be here tomorrow if you don't give me this money now. And then, but what does he tell you though when a detractor, troll, hater, and critic comes around? Oh, I'm going to be here tomorrow no matter what. Oh, no one's going to end me but me. I'm always going to be here and they hate me for it. Well, if that's the case, then how can he fearmonger about if you guys don't give him this extra $100 right now that he's not going to be here tomorrow when he has no choice but to be here tomorrow anyway, because he does this because he loves this. Remember? That's what he used to, another piece of silliness lore is that Phil always told us this was never about the money. This is about him loving to play games and interact with people and share his experiences, even though it was never about that. What happened with John and Howard proved that. That's why so many people turned on Phil afterwards. He tried to put out the illusion that it wasn't about money, that it was all about the moments. It was all about the fun with the guys and everything. When in actuality, those people were just workhorses. Which goes back to another thing that I said, that if Phil had gotten was able to get that office space in Connecticut back in 2012, 2013. Actually, even up to like early 2014, but really it was like 2012, 2013 when he talked about it. He talked about it during the condo tours. He would have worked John and Howard like dogs. And he would have been able to lord over them, so to speak, and the fact that, hey, I'm making all this money, guys, and I'll cut you in. I'll give you guys a piece of this. He was essentially Joe Button before Joe Button, if you guys are keeping up with that podcast situation. And that money definitely wasn't being cut right on that Joe Button situation. And trust me, Phil didn't cut that money right with John. And you know that money wasn't cut right because Howard didn't even get none. Howard didn't get a piece. OJ didn't get a piece. Respect the Pack, who were brought in on essentially a business deal, weren't even adequately compensated because Phil can't promote anybody but himself. It's amazing that everybody in those old videos with John in it says they love John so much, and yet where were the subs at to back that up? And I'll be the first one to tell you, a sub number don't mean anything. But if you care about him so much, right? Why aren't you guys over there supporting the channel then? Why aren't you guys over there supporting Snozman and Hole Punch? Now I can't say that for everybody because clearly there were people who supported him. Not as many as as Phil would make it out to be, make it seem. Just saying. If you're going to shine like a diamond, why don't you treat him as such? But that's not what happened, was it? You cared about John so much. He was your best friend. He was a confidant. You didn't treat him like that. And then what happened to John ended up happening to Brightside Viking years later. That's interesting. That's something people don't want to bring up. And when I say that, people don't want to bring that up, by the way. It comes down to like two things. It's either you don't know, right? And that's okay, because there's a lot of shit none of us don't know. There's plenty of shit I fucking learned about this silly shit. Or you're not comfortable speaking on that. And that's okay too. Because no one actually wants to think that someone is this fucking malicious that you would treat the people in your life that you supposedly care about this way. The problem is, most of you have been around long enough to know better, though. Most of y'all have been around long enough to know he don't give a fuck. Now, at the end of the day, it's all entertainment. You don't have to be malicious. You don't have to rant. You don't have to do all that bullshit. She got me for it. But let's not sit around and act silly and act like that you would expect him to be above those things. Let's not do that. You can if you want, but let's be realistically. Let's not act like any of that shit's a real surprise, because it's really not. It's really not. The same type of cutthroat shit that he exhibits and has exhibited for years, and some of the nonsense bullshit that happens over there in his community isn't too far off from some of the silly shit that allegedly happens over here. And we should know better. But yet you can't change human nature, or you can't change the nature of a person. And that right there is the greatest trick that Darksydephil ever pulled. Is he made people believe he was something that he wasn't. And the people who saw through that, or who woke up from the pignosis, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Pignosis is great though. I like it. But whatever you want to call it, those people got silenced. Those people essentially got bullied. And those people, he wanted those people pushed off when they had no value. If you couldn't spread the gospel of Snorts, you had no use. If you're not going to stand in line and be a loyal fucking disciple, right? You were useless. Free thought and free speech does not exist over there unless he can benefit from it. And for anybody to be surprised by that, who's been around for a long time, makes no sense. At all. And this isn't about giving him the benefit of the doubt. It's not about, oh, well, you know, we can't think the negative of, we can't always think the worst of him and all. When have you ever seen anything positive? And if that's the case, why aren't you making videos defending him then? Why aren't you on Twitter defending him then? Why aren't you over there on KiwiFarms defending him then? It's being reasonable about this shit is one thing. But to act like this shit just doesn't make any sense and there's no way he would do that is something completely different in itself. Just putting it out there.
Yes, I will make a little bit more revenue, but the whole point of this is I was making some, you know, it all depends on what game, but, you know, way more money than that on YouTube, to the point where now there's absolutely no way as is I can even afford my bills with the money I'm making just on Twitch. Now, I want to say this. The Twitch audience has been amazing. They've come out. They've been incredibly supportive during the streams. At this point, I really can't go to my Twitch viewers, my stream viewers, and ask for anything more. Those guys are being amazing. They're cheering, they're subbing, they're tipping. They're going out of their way to support me, okay? And they've been like that. Like, the Twitch streams have been growing exponentially. I'm getting more followers, more viewers, you know, on average. And the support this month, the month of July, was amazing. It was one of the best, most supportive months I've ever had on Twitch. But pair that with making nothing on YouTube. See what I mean? So the truth of the matter is this,
if you have to say but, if you make a point and then say but afterwards, then that point previous didn't mean anything, which is actually becomes more and more true as time goes on. Anyway, at least for him anyway. So after taking all that in, let's go ahead and relate that to what's something that's going on recently. Whereas if you guys were contributing to Darksydephil in any type of way, shape, or form on Twitch, and now that he's on YouTube, well, no, let's even before that. I'm jumping the gun a little bit. If you were supporting Phil with cheers or with subs or gifted subs, and now he can't obtain those things and he can only live off tips on Twitch, then he needs you guys to support. Now, granted, though, the PayPal thing came about, which completely was a clusterfuck, and if he was honest about it from the first place, it would have worked out differently. But he didn't, because he's a fucking piece of shit, and so that ended up blowing up in his face. So, rip to that. Now, let's go ahead and move on to our current timeline. If you guys used to go ahead and gift subs or cheer on Twitch, I need you guys to contribute here on YouTube. And since it's essentially a fresh start for everybody, there's no reason why you can't tip me. Now, here's the problem with that nonsense. One, and I've already gone over my spiel talking about how he only lives for the day. So you're going to go ahead and collect all of this money right now, and what are you going to do in a month when that YouTube paycheck ain't shit? I mean, Jesus Christ. When his last paycheck from Twitch, you know, the supposed paycheck that was never going to come about, it was never going to materialize, despite the fact that when Tevin got kicked off, he said he got his money. When Low Tier Guy got kicked off, I'm pretty sure he got his money. When most of the big streamers and whatnot get banned off the site, they get their last payout. Darksydephil, for whatever reason, wasn't going to do it, which leads into this larger controversy about when he got paid, which, to be honest with you, it don't matter anyway, because he lied either which way. You get paid first, and then they send you a confirmation email later. So, do some math. End story. But whatever. You know, let him say what he wants about it. There was nothing brave about him doing that either. That was, he continues to keep signing his own death warrant by doing shit like that. That was stupid. He shouldn't have said anything. He really shouldn't have. He should have called everybody mentally ill idiots and just left it at that. Now, you ain't sat there and put out this air quotes evidence, and yet you don't have nothing to explain it. And then there's no timestamp or nothing either, which is silly. So now you really have no proof about no proof. But at the end of the day, it don't matter, because it's just a confirmation email saying that, hey, you got paid. He more than likely got paid before that. And wasn't he the one running around saying, they don't pay on the weekends. They don't pay on the weekends. All right, then that means you got paid that Friday then. Which wasn't Friday wasn't Friday the actual day that of the marathon to raise up the $3,000 that he was asking for, which he only got $1,300 of, which is even more ironic because you asked for only $3,000, but you're in such financial straits. Why didn't you ask for $5,000? Oh, I know why. You asked for $3,000 because that's what you got paid from Twitch. That's how much you got paid from Twitch, and you wanted to match it and make it $6,000 because Phil has always tried to double his money on everything that he does. Well, fuck it. I'll get into it really, really fast, and we'll talk about it later. When Phil has to pay his bills, in air quotes, right? So let's say his expenses are $2,000 a month. I mean, like, you know, utilities, groceries, all that bullshit. Let's say that $2,000 a month. He wants $4,000 because he had to work to get that $2,000 to pay his obligations, but he wants another $2,000 for himself. That's why I told you guys earlier on, he doesn't really want $400 a month or $400 a stream. He wants $800 a stream. That's what he really wants. He wants to be as compensated. He wants as much compensation as possible. And it only makes sense to double up. Because it's funny how we went from a $100 tips goal to a $200 tips goal per stream now. Right? Not per day, per stream. And now we're up to 4. Won't be long until we're up to 8, which is what he wants anyway. Because $800 a day, I mean, you go ahead and do the math on that. That's pretty good money, and he doesn't have to worry about talking about YouTube or Machinima. I mean, not Machinima. YouTube or PayPal. He doesn't have to worry about any of that at all. He's going to go ahead and he's going to live pretty off of just that alone, if you really think about it. And that's what he's really shooting for. That's what he's always done. So, okay, so $800 a stream times 6 days is what? It's $4,800. So times that by 4, you know what I'm saying? So 4 weeks, and so 6 days a week, and then 6 days a week, and then you think 4 weeks in a month. That's 19,200. And then you times that by 12 months. That's $230,400. That's right back at where he was making on YouTube back in the day. That works out pretty fucking good, don't it? That works out pretty fucking good. And that's just off Twitch. Or no, sorry. That's just off tips. That's just off tips. That's not subs on Twitch. That's not cheers on Twitch. That's not super chats or memberships on YouTube. That's just off tips. And that's not even his Twitch paycheck. That's just tips. The things he gets day in, day out. So why the fuck does anybody give a hot fuck on when he got paid and when he didn't? Why does that even matter? when the scheme is so much bigger than that. When the situation is so much bigger than that. Now, granted, though, too, I mean, that's important. Get your details. You know what I'm saying? Get your details because it's important. Context matters, right? But that's what he's trying to play just off tips. And look at him. Caught him phantom red hooved. That's why he didn't talk about Patreon for all those years. Or for those couple years, I should say. That wasn't something worthwhile. He was going to collect his little $300-$400 or whatever it was, and he was going to coast with it. It was free money. And it's funny because you would think just off that, off the Patreon money, that's a bill easily covered. That's 3/4 of a well, that's 1/4 of a mortgage theoretically, because I think he pays like $1,800 plus for his for the Snort fort in Connecticut. I mean in Washington. Sorry, for the Snort fort in Washington, it's like $1,800 a month. $1,800 plus. I'm sorry. So, well, that's actually a little more than one. That's actually a little less than more than 1/4. Actually, sorry. Yeah, it's a little. Yeah, it's actually short because that would only be $1,600 at $400 a piece. It's a bill. It's a couple of bills. Certainly, is the point I'm trying to make. It's a couple of bills. So, yeah. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, the scheme is bigger. The scheme is a whole lot bigger than what's in front of you. It really is. I mean, and the funny thing is, and any of the old school detractors will tell you this, all the information is like right there. More often than not, it comes out of his snout. And then if coming up with detractor theories was like a batting average, or just looking at a percentage of sports, I should say, I would say detractors by far are at least in the high 90s. Certainly 90, I'd say anywhere between 93 and 95% positive rate. Even some of the out there fucking theories that detractors have had in some way, shape, or form came to fruition. It's fucking amazing. It's fucking amazing. And speculation and theory and all of that is the fun part of all of this. What, you're going to sit back and wait for Darksydephil? You're going to wait for Darksydephil to tell you the truth willingly? Fuck all that. It's going to take him a while before he actually pig spills it himself. It's going to take a while for that to happen. Unless you could force his hand. And if you're going to do that, you get more out of him without giving him money than you do with giving him money. That's been tried and tested. So the speculation's even better because the speculation drives his anger. It pushes his narrative. Because when Phil gets really, really, really mad at something, it's more often than not true. Like how Phil running around talking about, I've never said anything racist or I've never said anything hateful. And he says that shit with the type of vile that you know he's lying. And he's mad that he's being called out for it. And when that next article comes out and it says he got banned for hateful speech, and then they start linking videos that shows examples of that hateful speech, then what? Just saying. Just saying. The theory crafting or the conspiracy theories or whatever you want to call it, the fun part of all this shit. It's fucking hilarious. Because in one way, shape, or form, it comes to fruition in some type of way, shape, or form. It's weird. It's really weird sometimes how that plays about. You can't necessarily will something into existence. Well, theoretically, you. Well, that's a whole nother theory in itself, I guess. But there's talks. But anyway, you can't let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you can't will something into existence, right? So, same concept. So if it happened because that's what you were doing. And at the end of the day, Darksydephil or anybody else, no one wants to be figured out. No one wants another person to be able to anticipate their movements. You know what I'm saying? Or what they do. And that's what Tevin's been known for. That's why, in some ways, he was a threat to SOK in the first place. It didn't take long. Let me give you a really good example and let's move on. I'll give you a great example, actually. If you go back to Tevin's video talking about it, the Autistic Illuminati, I think is what it's called, when Tevin talks about his situation and all that, there is a there is a segment that stands out to me very, very clearly, where Freddie ends up reaching out to him because Tevin had made a small joke on Twitter or something, and Freddie slips into his DMs, and they have a conversation about that, and Tevin makes a joke about I would make a joke in like my like phantom chat or something if I had one. And Fred's like, what, you mean the chat that's not publicly accessible to everybody? And Tevin was like, no, it was just but Tevin had already assumed that, though. That's why Tevin made the joke. It was just a joke, though. Like, it wasn't meant to be anything more than that. But Fred immediately picked up on it. That's why he accidentally let the shit spill, because he thought Tevin knew. Or another example was when with the conversation started over the Be Awesome One situation, when with the copyright claims, and Tevin had made a joke saying that, man, it'd be a shame if someone went ahead and started to claim all of Phil's fucking fan art and shit to take him down temporarily. That would pretty much fucking suck. And I think that's what ended up causing Freddie to jump into his Fred to jump into his fucking DMs about that shit, because that's exactly what they're plotting. And Tevin has in a very unique sort of way, I'd say, I don't know a better way to describe it, he has great deduction skills. Forget my previous point about the unique part, because I'm not really sure how to say that. He has very good deduction skills. He's very good at looking at a situation and looking at the variables and looking at how a situation plays out. He had never talked to Fred about any of those things, and yet he essentially laid out the plan, which is exactly what essentially ended up going down anyway. And Fred was basically like, hey, we don't want to really speak about that publicly or whatever, because essentially they were running an op, and Tevin figured it out without even being privy to that op. And that right there shakes people up. It makes people nervous. And so when you go later on into the video and he says, oh, well, if Tevin fucks with us, he'll have this coming, it kind of makes sense. And so when Tevin was like, well, what are you going to do to me? Well, when Tevin said, well, what was that about? What were you going to do to me that hasn't already been done to me before? Because Tevin didn't, at that time, Tevin didn't know what the actual context of it was. But when you go back to the previous part, where Fred's slipping into his DMs to talk to him about what he knows and what he doesn't know, doesn't want him to talk about certain things and whatnot, that was just Tevin coming up with that stuff on his own. And that's scary. It's scary to have, it's useful to have someone like that around, but it's scary too. And Tevin says that he wasn't a full member of SOK. I think he was just kind of like an associate, like with most people. So that right there that's problematic. It's very problematic. And Phil's no different. Phil don't like that shit either. He hates when people can go ahead and figure him out beforehand. That's one of the reasons why he has such a problem with Tevin. He hates Tevin for a bunch of different things, but he certainly hates Tevin for that. Tevin's insightful in such a way that most detractors may never be, to be honest. And that's no slight against anybody. It's just Tevin's been around for a long time. He's read a lot of shit. He's seen a lot of shit in real time. And all that harkens back to something else. Like, another example, because you know what I mean, I ramble a lot anyway. Jim Cornette says that nothing that you see in wrestling is ever really new. It all harkens back to something that's been done before. Same type of thing. A lot of the silly infighting, a lot of the silly bullshit that goes on over on that end, a lot of the little collaborations and nonsense like that, it's something that's a play off of something else, or it's something that previously has existed before, and someone is either trying to flip it in a different way or is trying to reinvent it. It is what it is. And the thing is that, yet again, another reason that puts Tevin at the top of all of this is he knows way more than what happened in these videos. Like, Tevin has, like if you call this lore, Tevin has like that deep lore. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he could tell you what happened on the Kiwi Farms, which led to the shit that happened on Twitter, which led to this shit on pre-streams and shit. Because there are stuff that Phil will reference on pre-streams that happened to some shit that happened on Twitter like 6 months ago. And no one picks that shit up because no one knew it. But then when Tevin comes out and does his video, he connects all the dots. You can't pay for that type of information. And a lot of that information, to be honest, is like the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's lost knowledge. And that's what makes him dangerous. Hypothetically speaking, I should say, that's what makes Tevin dangerous to someone like Darksydephil. That makes him that's really problematic. You know what I mean? And that's how Tevin is able. And then Tevin has, I don't know if I go as far as calling it total recall. I don't know if I'd go that far, but his memory is so sharp that when you can recall dates and certain streams and certain subjects and shit like that, that's on some next level shit. There's very few people who can do that with a level of accuracy. Like, it surprises me that more people didn't appreciate it early on, but people appreciate it now, so that's all that really matters. But you can't really teach that either. That's kind of something that you just innately have in some ways. So, but like I said, I can't call it total recall. But it's something. in the words of Tevin, it's something. And something like that is dangerous. It's easy to call people out on some shit like that. You know? And just because people and not just Tevin, but anybody else, just because they don't comment on something doesn't mean they don't see it. Or doesn't mean that someone took screenshots and passed it around. Supposedly that's a thing. So, you know, it's something to take into consideration. So when you lie at the levels of a Darksydephil, someone's going to pick that up and catch it. Shit, fucking, every once in a while, David Davison says some shit that's like, holy shit, where do I find that? And then you find it, and it's like, oh, wow. And that just shit opens up a whole nother rabbit hole. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Huff Stuff says stuff like that on Twitter sometimes, too. And you've got some incredibly insightful people if you're willing to look. You know what I'm saying? But that's what Phil feels is the threat. But he keeps looking at it as, let me cut Tevin's fucking head off, and then the rest of it goes away. Nah. That's not how that works. That's not how it works. The world has changed, and you kind of need to change with it, which is why that hateful speech nonsense it's not nonsense, but that hateful speech thing on Phil is fucking hilarious because he just thinks it's the N-word or whatever else. Man, people's vocabulary has changed, and what people find offensive has changed. And though, is Phil expected to read the TOS? I don't know. If this is really your business, if this is really your livelihood, one would think you would have some level of due diligence, but within a level of reason, maybe not. Do any of you guys read the fucking terms of service when you guys take an update for, I don't know, your fucking Sprint or your iPhone or fucking T-Mobile or whatever, Verizon or whatever the fucking else you guys do? No, it's not reasonable. At the same time, this is your job and you do this all fucking day. You would think you would have some type of understanding of what's going on. I would think that's not too unreasonable. I may not expect him to understand or read everything, but I would hope he would read something.
Something's got to give. And, you know, for 10 years, I've been a content creator on YouTube for 10 years, even though this last year, my revenue did completely dramatically drop on YouTube because of the YouTube adpocalypse. I still continue to consistently upload videos for you guys on YouTube, especially those of you who say, man, Phil, you know, I can't watch your videos on Twitch because it's too much. The bandwidth limitations are too high. If I try to watch any video on Twitch, you know, it just chops up and I can't watch it, but I can watch your stuff on YouTube. So please keep uploading to YouTube. Okay, but what I'm kind of telling you guys now is I need to make a living, and I'm making nothing on the YouTube videos. So what this means is that I need you guys who are avid watchers, who are longtime fans of mine, and who love my YouTube content to please step up and support the effort. How? The primary way you can is to go to my Patreon at patreon.com/darksydephil.
Wait, but aren't they watching? But those who watch the videos, aren't you getting ad revenue off them? Oh, and so now you want to? So now we're gonna cherry pick them. We're gonna double tap that, and yeah, I want the ad revenue, right? And that right there just pays for the effort of me putting it on YouTube. But now you guys need to contribute to my Patreon too, so I am compensated for that. Think about what I just said there for a minute. So I'm already putting this on YouTube, and you guys are already enjoying it, and you're telling me to keep doing it. So whatever ad revenue I'm generating from that, well, that right there is the cost of doing business, because I have this business to run. But you guys want me to continue to run my business and do it the way that you guys like it, even though I'm just now starting to do it this way, because doing it the way I wanted to ended up biting me in the fucking ass. You guys are going to need to go ahead and come up out of pocket now. So your time, which is the most valuable thing that you have, by the way, your time is not enough. It's time for you guys to come up out of pocket too. So what if you're a Twitch contributor, right? And you enjoy the YouTube stuff too. So now you have to contribute even more on Twitch, and now you have to contribute on PayPal while still giving him ad revenue on YouTube. You guys see what I'm talking about? Kind of amazing, huh? And it harkens back to some of the things he's been saying over the last couple weeks. It's no different. The situation his situation has changed, but how he wants to benefit from his situation certainly hasn't. It's not that much. There's really not too much of a difference, to be honest. But it's people like me that are the evil ones, right? Because we blow everything out of proportion, right? Because he has to make a living, right? Which is funny, because if you have to make a living, then you're not really running a business then, right? Because business owners don't necessarily talk like that, because business owners have something called a plan. And even though theoretically a plan is just a list of things that you may or may not do, any business owner who's worth their salt has some type of contingency. They have some type of way of raising capital if they need it, or they know when to cut their losses. He doesn't have any of that. He's working a job, which means he has to deal with whatever the circumstance is. And if he has to change jobs, he has to change jobs. And if you think about it, the way he broke up YouTube and Twitch, and I said this back in like 2017, 2018, the way he broke up YouTube and Twitch, he purposely split the audience because he wanted to milk each demographic, if you will, as much as he could. And it ended up backfiring on him, because if he was fucking smart, he would have had the YouTube audience contribute to PayPal from day one, essentially. Always keep supporting me on YouTube, which should have been enough of a reason to actually give them some fucking quality content, even though he's never provided quality content, so I just contradicted myself. And on the Twitch end of it, Jesus Christ, you got tips, you got cheers, you got subs. What more do you need? And then if you still feel that's not enough and whatnot, you can still push them on to Patreon too. But the point being is that YouTube was always permanently linked to Patreon, because if you know the lore, when he left Twitch the first time, that's when he started a Patreon, which is funny because he used to talk shit about people who used to have a Patreon. Semantics. In any case, so YouTube was already hereditarily linked to YouTube anyway, and all he had to do was keep up with it. But he was stupid, and he was lazy, and he was complacent. So then when he got into serious trouble, he had the nerve to come out of his fucking snout and sit there and say, you guys on YouTube aren't doing enough. You guys want me to keep providing you with the content I'm going to provide you guys anyway, because no one else gives a shit about my garbage ass content except for the people who fucking ridicule me and make fun of me anyway, right? Then you guys got to pay extra for it. But Phil, we're already contributing our time, and through that you're getting ad revenue. Sorry, it's not enough. You want longer videos now, right? Well, yeah, but aren't you just going to put more ads in a longer video? Don't worry about that. YouTube ad revenue's down. But didn't you say YouTube ad revenue was down when you still had DSP Gaming? But now you're saying when you had DSP Gaming available to you? But then you're saying now that you made all kinds of crazy money off DSP Gaming. So were you lying to me now, or were you lying to me back then? See, then you get into nuances about that. And then he's sitting here bitching and complaining about $10 a month Like this is fucking one of those ads for charity and shit that you used to see on television or some nonsense. When he's the reason why KO Gaming was dead in the water in the first place. When he gave up on it, they had no reason to supply it with any ads of any relevancy. And keep in mind, he'd only been back on KO Gaming for like a week. So he talking about $10 a day, even though it's only your first week back into the picture. It's going to be at least another month or so until you see any real growth. You see how he tried to finesse them? Well, he didn't try to, he did. Think about that. And if you go back onto the farms, you would have to go, fucking A. If you go, it's probably somewhere between 3,000, page 3,000 and probably like 3,300, something like that. It should be somewhere close to this timeline. Maybe 3,400. It'll be somewhere around this timeline. And then you can get an idea of what they think. Matter of fact, I should probably go and look myself. But it'll give you an idea of what that situation is. Like, shit's silly, dude. It's really, really silly when you break it all down. Like, how the fuck are you going to come up out your face and demand people to fucking give you money to do something you're doing already? I mean, Jesus Christ, it was more work for him to cut videos up in small pieces than it is to just put up one large chunk. What's the problem? To put that into perspective, and you could actually probably go back to the King of Hate, to the KO Gaming YouTube channel. You might be able to actually see it. He was chopping up his Street Fighter matches literally by set, essentially, which is something he used to do back on the Darksydephil YouTube channel too. So you're talking about anywhere from like 2 to 5 minute videos being uploaded. Excuse me. That's him going ahead and doing lean in manual fucking cuts over and over and over again. That's more work for him. So now they just want it in just one large video, and he still bitched and complained about it and made reasons and excuses not to do it, which is even more ironic because when you go and look at, let me use Street Fighter yet again, when he plays 30th anniversary on Fridays, he cuts that video up into 2 videos. Oh, sorry. He cuts that up into 2 videos. So you get hour 1 and hour 2. If you go back to KO Gaming around this time, you'll find those Street Fighter videos as just 1 hour and 50-minute video or 1 2-hour video. Makes you think.
Pledge today. As little as $1 helps, okay? I've been saying this ever since I opened my Patreon 3 years ago. People are, I can't make a significant impact. $1 a month actually helps and adds up, all right? The bottom line is, if you look at the amount of people who watch my videos on DSPGaming, and
that's hilarious too, because Review Tech USA says that exact same line too. $1 a month does help. Now, here's the thing. Here's the kicker. At least personally, I don't know when that was said, so I can't tell you who said it first. All I can tell you is from what you're seeing here. And July 28th of 2018, he said that $1 a month does help. But Rich said that too. He said that when he got the new setup, the current setup he has now, he said that when he was putting that setup together, essentially, or his brother was helping him, or his dad, or whoever it was. So when he was trying to promote his Patreon too. Just a little trivia. It might be fun to compare that one day.
Watching the new videos on KO Gaming, you're talking at least 1,000 unique individuals a day watch my content. Sometimes it's tens of thousands depending on what I'm playing. If a fraction of those pledged to my Patreon, I would be fine. I would not have to rely whatsoever on the YouTube ad revenue, and I'd be in a good position. The problem is less than 200 people pledge to my Patreon on a monthly basis. And since I'm in the transition more to be a Twitch streamer than anything else, even less people are pledging to my Patreon. It's good, though, because they are contributing to the streams, but you see what I mean? Like, I need that support on Patreon every month. Right now, if I could double, triple my support on Patreon, things would be in a much better position. I wouldn't be so worried, but...
Told you. Now, keep in mind, the Patreon, now here's the thing. He's saying 200 people contribute to his Patreon, but he's not telling you how much he makes. But we know for sure that the Patreon goal, the standard goal over there, was like $1,250 a month. He's talking about double or tripling that amount, which is ironic, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Because didn't I say that his goal in general is to double or triple the amount of money he's getting, certainly doubling it? So now when I say that he wants $800 a stream, or no, $800 a day, I'm sorry. So now that I'm saying, or that I've been saying, that he wants $800 a day, makes a lot more sense because history dictates that. History dictates that. This idiot right here really thought he should be able to pull, what's that? $3,750, I think. Almost $4,000. This guy was really thinking that he could pull $3,000 plus off Patreon. He actually felt like he was deserving of it. Wasn't that interesting? Well, isn't that interesting? Yeah, I was right. $3,750. I didn't say it. He said it. Well, I insinuated it, but he backed it up. Womp womp. He is what he is, ladies and gentlemen. He is what he is. He is what he is. And this isn't something he just started. He's been doing this for a long ass time. He's been doing this for a long fucking time. Hey man, a pig doesn't change his bacon.
The bottom line is, within the next 1 to 2 months, I need to find a solution for having zero ad revenue on YouTube. If you guys pledge to my Patreon, that would fix that. Okay, I need you, if you are an ongoing and avid watcher of my videos on YouTube, to pledge to my Patreon. Okay, it's that simple. It's do or die time. I know many of you have watched me for 10 years, and you probably have this mentality that Phil will overcome everything, and Phil, I don't have to ever worry about contributing to Phil because no matter what, he always seems to overcome every hurdle. Now I'm in a situation, there's no clear end in sight. There's no way out. You have to contribute if you want to keep seeing me be able to put out videos on YouTube, period. Okay?
Okay, so I'm going to bring that back because I want you to hear this fuckery. Ladies and gentlemen, hold on a second.
Phil will overcome everything.
There we go. That's actually exactly what I wanted. Let me bring it back right here. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this man right here, and I use the term man loosely because that's what I do. This man right here says that he is the ultimate, not ultimate underdog, but he tried to paint himself as that. He says he is the underdog. He is the one in the million. He is the lucky one. He started off at the right time and whatnot, and he did it his way, and everybody else went ahead and changed, and they put more money into it, and they got all this high production and all this other nonsense. But he stayed grounded, and he's still doing it the standard way that most of you would be actually doing it if you were at your own house or whatever the case may be. All right. And though other people have gone on to be more successful and push the genre, if you will, to more and more heights, you know, people forget what it's like to just have the raw, uncut footage, the raw, uncut game, just being given to them, right? Everybody has to have all these crazy edits and everything. Even though his content, if you really think about it, his content isn't actually uncut because he's the one who takes these long segments, recording segments, and chops them up into 10-minute parts. I'm surprised no one ever brought that up, or at least no one that I've heard. But I always found that to be ironic in a lot of ways. So that's the first thing. Secondly, he's the one, going back to my original point, painting himself as the ultimate underdog. He's the one that's doing the best he can, and he's fortunate to make a living because, you know, people support him, people like what he does, people find value in it. You know what I'm saying? Remember all the fan letters that are sent to him saying, "Oh, Phil, you've pulled me out of a dark spot here, or you've done this and you've done that, and I've grown to really appreciate you and all of your efforts," and so on and so forth. All right? So you painted yourself, with this narrative. You know what I'm saying? You've branded yourself, actually is probably the better term. You branded yourself with this. And now, all of a sudden, I'm weak, I'm feeble, my business sense and acumen has left me now, right? And I'm not intelligent enough to see a way out of this, and I'm not willing to work harder to do what needs to be done to get myself out of this. So now you guys have to come in. That's something that's familiar to all of us, no matter when you started watching Darksydephil. That right there should be something that's familiar to everybody. And this is how he believes he's running a business. So yet again, just off this video alone, despite all of my excess talking, because there's been a lot of excess, where's the business acumen, ladies and gentlemen? Someone, please tell me where the business acumen's at. Explain to me how he's been doing everything right for years. All the people who said he wasn't were fucking stupid. They were fucking idiots. They're fucking kids and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, right? Explain that. Make it clearer to me how this right here is running a successful business. Someone explain that to me. How any of that makes sense. A clear solution, a clear path. You guys have all heard this before. He said that in many of a begging video. Well, guess what, Phil? If there was always a clear path, right? If there was always an easy answer, then what makes life worthwhile? You should never wish to have easier lives. You should just wish to be stronger people. And not just for yourself, but for those around you. Now, see, Phil don't think like that. Because Phil don't give a fuck about anybody around him. He only cares about him first. And as long as he's doing well, by proxy, everybody else can be assumed to be doing well. But this right here is being the businessman. This is what it means to be valedictorian. This is what that ACE certification contributed to. This here. This is what needs to be revered, right? This is the proverbial king of his castle, right? This is Mr. I did everything right and I did nothing wrong. I did everything correct. That's what this is, right? This is what he tells you. And Phil don't lie. It's everybody else that are liars. And Phil's the one who's successful and everybody is jealous of his success. I'm jealous of this. Are you jealous of this? Don't worry, I'll wait.
Pledge to my Patreon, okay? It's that simple. It's do or die time. I know many of you have watched me for 10 years and you probably have this mentality that Phil will overcome everything. And Phil, I don't have to ever worry about contributing to Phil because no matter what, he always seems to overcome every hurdle. Now I'm in a situation, if there's no clear end in sight, there's no way out. You have to contribute if you want to keep seeing me be able to put out videos on YouTube, period, okay? Because I'll be honest with you guys. I've been looking at a few options. All right. And one of the options I'm looking at is just becoming a full-time Twitch streamer and just abandoning YouTube completely. Because if I'm making $10
He was already a full-time Twitch streamer. What he was doing back in 2018 is the exact same shit he does today. He was already a full-time Twitch streamer. Go back and look. What did he do that was any different then that he doesn't do now? Or vice versa? I think at this time, so yeah, because Cat was already in the picture. So DSP tries were gone, weekend previews were gone, the reviews were gone. What is he doing that's really different? Oh, that wasn't a flattering freeze frame there. Oh well. He looks so much worse now anyway, so I'm actually doing him a favor. But what is any different? Where has he changed and evolved? Late 2018, he talked about being a full-time Twitch streamer. That's amazing. Which is funny because didn't he say the exact same thing? Well, no, that's kind of around this time period. But it doesn't matter because he doesn't edit any of his content anyway. He just streams it, chops it up, and then throws it on YouTube. And he only did that because he wanted as much ad revenue as possible. The views were already low. So he thought compensating for those low views was to put out more videos. I'm sorry. I just thought about how stupid that actually sounds. Your views were already low and your ad revenue was low. So you thought as a way of fixing it you would put out more videos. You would put out more videos. Oh, what is... Oh. It's so bad. It's so bad. Holy shit. All right, whatever. Holy shit.
The work that it takes to upload the videos to YouTube and babysit them and make sure that they're in playlists and then tweet out when the stuff is live and all that, is it worth it for $10 a day? When instead I could be focusing exclusively on my Twitch streams. I don't have to worry about copywritten music and just put out the Twitch streams daily with whatever music is on them, right? Because I don't have to worry about copyright or content ID on YouTube. I could do special...
I don't have to worry about content IDs or anything on YouTube? What? What are you talking about? I think you meant Twitch. And that in DMCA ended up being a thing only a couple years later. You were really setting yourself up for failure, but it's a good thing you're such a pathological liar that it didn't matter and you were never going to come through with any of that anyway, which is even more ironic because the very things you say that, oh, is it really worth for me to upload the videos, put them in the playlist, babysit them, and do all of this dumb shit is the same shit that you do now and you're absolutely inept at it. Because if you go and look at DSP Gaming now, you're going to find playthroughs or you're going to find games in playthroughs that most of those things are all fucking out of order anyway. So nothing changed from 2018 to 2021. Nothing. Nothing. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? To get the ad revenue that he wants anyway, he was going to have to keep doing what he was doing anyway. And then what makes that even more silly is he's already said in this video, I know it's just long as fuck because I talk too much. He's already said in this video that I'm going to do what you guys want and put out the longer playthrough. So he's already agreed to do less work so people can appreciate and enjoy the content more often. But then he's going to make them pay again later. He's going to make them demand them, I should say, to pay more towards the end of the video so he feels like he's compensated in a way that's just. Even though he already admitted that I'm going to go ahead and do less work. You guys are putting me in a position to do less work and you guys get more content, which he's just going to throw even more ads on anyway. And he trying to sit there and play it and spin that shit like he's doing more work. Absolute pig-tard shit. Oh, it's beautiful. It's fucking beautiful. It wasn't so ignorant. Jesus Christ.
Exclusively on my Twitch streams. I don't have to worry about copywritten music and just put out the Twitch streams daily with whatever music is on them, right? Because I don't have to worry about copyright or content ID on YouTube. I could do special stream-only events. It says I'm not recording locally ever anymore. If I only do streams on Twitch, I can now play PC games on my PC on Twitch. See what I mean? There's a lot of benefits if I were to become a 100% full-time Twitch streamer. Now, I'm not saying that's what I want.
Suck a dick. Now, I'm saying that because I want to bring you back to something else. And that I want to see his fucking pig-tard face up there. Do you guys remember when he made all those bullshit promises to you guys about, you know, hey guys, if you guys can just keep giving me more and more money. Wow, he looked like a fucking, he looked like something special for sure. That's goddamn, dude. Such an awkward looking dude. It's funny, I've shitted on you for so many years that I've never really taken a chance to actually, goddamn, you were just an interesting looking fella. I wonder if I painted your face orange with like a little bit of white towards the bottom, would you look like a candy corn? Well, you need to have a little bit of black there too. I guess we could just shade in your gold tee there. Yeah, you would look like a candy corn. Your head is shaped perfectly for it. I have to save that for Halloween. Anyway, sorry guys. Oh shit. Fuck. Sorry, the candy corn thing made me lose my train of thought for a minute there. Give me a second. Oh, fucking yo, that's kind of wild. All right, here, let me play this for a minute. Holy shit, I have completely lost my train of thought.
PC games on my PC.
Oh, there we go.
On Twitch.
Got it.
See what I mean?
All right, so it's funny how you just heard this right here. I'll bring it back for you guys so you guys can hear it, more of it. You have the arm flailing too. That's always a thing. But it's funny how he talks about, you know, hey, if you guys go ahead and, you know, contribute to my PayPal and even come over. He's even implying that you guys come over there to Twitch, even if you can't view the content, come over there to Twitch and give me money. Oh, I can start doing PC games now. Oh, I can start doing this. I can start doing that. All of that harkens back to not too long ago in our current timeline, where he talked about, hey guys, if you guys just gave me more and more money, and if I had the face up there, it'd be a little bit more fitting to my point. If you guys give me more and more money, I could, that'll work. That's not the original. That wasn't the original one, but that'll work just fine. If you guys give me more and more money, man, we can get the green screen, and I can get a gaming chair, and I can get a better laptop, and I can get a better desktop, and we could have amazing quality, and we could do all of these different things if you guys just keep giving me money. Right? You guys remember that? He's been running that scam for a long time too. Making all those false promises and all that bullshit. That was one of the things, most people may not remember this. That was one of the things he tried to peddle during the vest streak. If you guys remember back then. Hey, if you guys give me, you know, if you guys just keep contributing, keep giving me money, and I keep getting myself, it's always a hump, right? Even though he won't hump his wife. If you guys can get me over this financial hump, man, I can start investing money back into my business. You know, the business that he's been doing for, I don't know, 12 years, whatever, 12-year legacy, all that bullshit. I can go ahead and invest in my business, and I can get those nice things that you guys always want. I can get the green screen. I can get the new laptop. I can get the new desktop. I can get the gaming chair. I can get other peripherals and whatnot to do 4K and do better quality and whatnot. You guys remember all that, right? He's been peddling that bullshit for years because people have demanded better quality from him because he can't contribute to better quality. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like no, let's reword that. They want better quality because he can't contribute to the content. That he can't bring a better quality. He can't do better, basically quality content is what I'm looking for. He can't provide that. So the game itself has to be brought to them in the best quality possible. And since Phil barely talks about anything unless he's ranting or expecting people to hoof hold him, it's essentially just a dead playthrough. I mean, he might as well do no commentary playthroughs. He might as well, to be honest. I mean, to be honest with you, he could do both. He could do one with, if you want to call what he does has commentary. He could do that, and then he could just throw the video into an editor, and then rip. Well, no, he's not gonna do that. Never mind. I was gonna say he could just rip out his audio, but he can't, or he won't. Because he's not going to want to sit there and try to separate game audio from his audio and then splice it all together in such a way. He's not going to do all that. Never mind. So scratch that. He doesn't provide anything. He doesn't provide anything of value or substance. So why are you guys throwing all this extra money at him for the promise to do things that he ended up not doing anyway? Yes, he played some PC games later on down the line when he got paid for it because it was a sub goal or something along those lines. But he didn't do it outright to just give you guys a better quality product. You know what I'm saying? He did it because he made sure he was paid for it. He got paid outright to do it through a sub goal or a tip goal or whatever. And then he got paid on the stream too. And then he put it on YouTube. He triple dipped that bitch. And which is what he's always doing. So these lies over, I want to improve things, I want things to be better, but you guys need to keep helping me out. Look at the fucking nonsense he was in 2018. And then look at the nonsense he's in 2021. To be honest with you, I think he welcomes, I'm not saying he plans for it because I don't want to give him that much credit. That, and I don't think he has that type of, he doesn't have foresight. So I know that's not the case. But I think he looks forward to when he gets fucked over in some way, shape, or form. Because that's content. Believe it or not, his bitching and complaining is content for him. And if it puts him in a position to drum up sympathy bucks or whatever the case may be, then that works too. And believe it or not, it's a tried and true method. It's a tarred move either which way you look at it, and it's a philism, but it's what he does. He's not going to stop. And to be honest with you, there's nobody who really wants to stop him. Not to say that there's a reason to. I mean, there's a reason, but at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? You choose to give him money. You kind of live with that.
worry about copyright or content ID on YouTube. I could do special stream-only events. It says I'm not recording locally ever anymore. If I only do streams on Twitch, I can now play PC games on my PC on Twitch. See what I mean? There's a lot of benefits if I were to become a 100% full-time Twitch streamer. Now, I'm not saying that's what I want to do, but if I may have to do it, I may have to do it. If you want to see me
upload. So he tried to get these people yet again to buy in on an idea that he really didn't even want to do. And guess what? He wasn't going to do it anyway. He never had any plans to do so. Because at the end of the day, sooner than later, he was going to get the monetization thing figured out, because he was going to bitch and complain about it until someone was willing to do something, either yay or nay. And then you making promises that your heart really ain't behind it anyway. You should always try to make your next move your best move. But he don't want to do that. He wants to just sell them on the dream of it. But that's all it is. It was a dream. It was a pipe dream. It was just like when he moved when he was teasing that there's some big change that's going to come to the office and whatnot. I remember it too. There's a bunch of people who were sitting there speculating on what it was. It turned out to be nothing. Not a goddamn thing. Dude, this lazy piece of shit didn't even get a new chair. He went ahead and grabbed the old chair that came from out of his nook that was in the condo in Connecticut, and they moved the love seat out, and that was it. This ass clown didn't even have enough decency for himself to at least straighten up the wall or something. You got all those scuff marks and everything in it. Like I said, man, and there were people too that were saying, "Don't get your hopes up. It's going to be a nothing burger," and that's exactly what that shit was. What? So this idiot can sit in a chair and spin around and eat some fucking Skittles at an exorbitant price? Like, it was ridiculous how much money he was able to get out of them over that Skittles scam. That shit was crazy. What was it like? He would eat 3 Skittles for like $20, something crazy like that. That was ridiculous. The amount of overhead that he got off that scam, insane. But the point being is, people wanted to sit there and try to give him the benefit of the doubt, and that, oh, well, maybe he's seen the light. Maybe he's going to do the right thing now by his audience. Because some of the people who were saying this, they're not DSP fans. They really don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't want to bash him. They wanted to be more reasonable about it. And that got nobody nowhere. That got no one anywhere. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, back to what I said earlier, speculation is a thing. But come on. There's a level of common sense in all of this. He was never going to change up. He was never going to change up. It was never going to be what any of you guys thought it will. You know what I mean? I don't know if he'll ever go to doing a green screen. He's too much of a narcissist to do that. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't. That little fucking box is in that goddamn corner because he wants to always be linked to his content. He wants people to know that, hey, I'm here. If you put a background behind it, he literally just blends in with the background. I mean, on some Casper the Friendly Ghost type shit. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to have that. He's not going to want to pull that away from anything. It's the reason why he keeps doing what he's doing. Jesus.
YouTube right now, since it looks like there's really slim to no chance that DSPGaming is going to get its advertisements back, I need you to pledge to my Patreon. Now, there are other ways you can contribute too. You could go to my Teespring shop and buy a t-shirt or something. That helps out. Or even if you don't attend the streams, I do have a tips page where you can lend me a tip. You can actually say, "Oh, Phil, I watch your videos and I don't want to pledge to your Patreon."
You guys remember that tips page, right? You guys don't remember that? No? 341 call? Anybody? My tips page. What is that, Mr. Bernal? It's a tips page. It's my PayPal tips page. At least that's what I call it. That's where people go to leave me a tip. You know, like a waiter or a bartender or something. Like I do a good job, and they can go there to give me a tip. The vernacular hasn't changed too much either. Amazing.
A t-shirt or something. That helps out. Or even if you don't attend the streams, I do have a tips page where you can lend me a tip. You can actually say, "Oh, Phil, I watch your videos and I don't want to pledge to your Patreon, but here's a tip. Hope this helps you out." You could do that too, okay? And all that information is on my Twitch page. If you want to go check that out, twitch.tv/DarksydePhil has all the details on how to tip me and everything. But this is it. I'm not kidding. I'm not joking. This is not me over-exaggerating. I made no money on YouTube. All right. I made like $80 on YouTube in the last week. That is not enough to support me. And within 2 months here...
I thought you said you only made $10, though. Now it's $80? Huh. That's weird. So wait a second. Let's break this down. So we made only $10 on KiwiFarms. Or not KiwiFarms, sorry. We only made $10 on King of Hate on KO Gaming, but we made $70 off King of Hate Vlogs? Well, that doesn't sound right because he says King of Hate Vlogs makes little to no money. But now he's saying that he made $80 last week. I'm sure it's just a coincidence, though. He misspoke. You know, I misspeak a lot, so maybe that's what it was. He misspoke. That's what it was. Clearly, that's what it is. Clearly.
I can't get a solution. I'm not going to be able to afford my bills anymore, and there's going to be drastic measures that have to be taken. And if it's, forget YouTube, I just become a full-time streamer, I guess that's what it's going to have to be. I don't want it to be that, but it's always been I could still work as a YouTuber and a streamer because I'm making the revenue from YouTube to make sense to work on that. Now I'm not anymore. This is literally like fan service for me putting the videos on YouTube at this point. So I need your support, guys. Please. Patreon.com/DarksydePhil. Pledge.
Another funny point. Fan service. Fan service. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, isn't that what King of Hate, or no, isn't that what DSP Trizits are? Fan service? But yet, every time they were having those vest celebrations or whatever marathons he does now where they can do a DSP Trizit, he's trying to insert those things in and whatnot. That's weird because it's funny, Phil, when people were, asking, hey, would you start doing DSP Trizits again? No, they don't do any money on YouTube, and I'm eating healthier now, and I don't have time for that. To now, well, hey, guys, we go ahead and have this, hit this milestone and whatnot. We can have a celebration, and I'll do a DSP Trizit, and I'll even get a drink too. So theoretically, get 2 DSP Trizits. But I thought that was fan service too, and I thought you said that wasn't actually anything that was compatible for your business. That's why you stopped doing it. It's amazing how that changed, right? And it's funny too that Phil says that I had to change or I had to do things different for my business. But it's funny that when the business itself changes, Phil bitches and complains about it like, oh, it wasn't like this back in the day. It used to be, YouTube used to have protection against stuff like this, or Twitch used to, actually cater to us more, to their partners and whatnot. And now they just don't care. And I don't understand how people can run a business like that when it was better the way it was. Which also leads back to that whole living in the past type shit. That's a thing too.
Fan service for me putting the videos on YouTube at this point. So I need your support, guys. Please. Patreon.com/DarksydePhil. Pledge. By the way, if you pledge right now in the next 3 days, by the end of July, you're going to get in. Today we hit the subscriber goal on my Twitch channel for the month, which means you will be able to nominate and vote on your favorite moments in my 10-year history here as a YouTuber for a special event that I'm going to be doing in September where I am going to react to my old content. So if you pledge $5 or more to my Patreon by the end of July, you have 3 days to do it. All right, you're going to be nominating and voting on, it could be a playthrough you loved, a moment in a playthrough, a vlog, like my old series, like an old DSP Tries It, a friend request ridicule video, hell, Project 7, that kind of stuff. You could have me watch it back live on stream. Of course, I'll record it for YouTube as well. And it's cool, a 10-year retrospective where I'll be looking through all my old content and just reacting to it. It's going to be a really fun event, and it's guaranteed now to happen in September. So if you pledge $5 or more by the end of this month, you get in on that event. If there's ever been a time to pledge and get in on it, now is the time. But I honestly don't think that many people take this seriously. They just think, oh, Phil gets through everything and he's going to persevere here again. No, in the YouTube situation, this needs attention. I need you guys to step it up and please pledge to my Patreon.
Which was funny too. Sorry, I actually meant to come in a little sooner. So this dude basically wants you guys to give him $5 a month on Patreon so you can get it on his, I guess, what was his first retrospective event. Okay. But didn't Phil tell us that reaction videos are trash and they're like for people who don't have talent and they're kind of like the bottom of the barrel content, even though he used to do reaction videos himself? But because he's reacting to his own content, it's okay. But if everybody else does content and they react to it, it's trash. Just keep that in mind. I always thought that show was funny.
Here again, no. In the YouTube situation, this needs attention. I need you guys to step it up and please pledge to my Patreon, or else that's going to be it for YouTube. You know, we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. Maybe by freak luck, I will get the ads back on DSPGaming. I don't think so. All right, I don't think so. But this is the way that you can fix that and ensure that I can continue to put out videos on YouTube. Okay. All right, guys.
Now that shit was dishonest as fuck. Because, yet again, in these type of situations, he almost always gets everything back, give or take. I don't expect him to get his partnership back this time around, though. But especially back then, whenever there was a crisis, whenever there was an emergency or some bullshit, oh, I don't think this is going to happen. I don't think this is going to come back. I don't think this. I don't think that. And it always did. Excuse me. In record time, most situations. He always fear-mongers that shit, knowing damn well it's going to eventually get fixed later. Shit, most of the time when he, as you saw just a minute ago, when he was looking at his email, he's already getting confirmation that shit's being worked out on, don't worry about it, so on and so forth. But he wants to be compensated for that time, right? Yet he's not going to do anything extra or anything more for that time. Like the retrospective event that he's sitting here trying to big up. They've already hit the goal for it, so theoretically you don't have to contribute to it because it's already being met. You're saying that, oh, you got 3 days left that you guys can still buy in on it. Doesn't mean anything because he still cherry picked the videos he want. Matter of fact, the Project 7, if I remember correctly, the Project 7 situation or videos was probably the biggest part of that whole playthrough. Or not playthrough, through that marathon, I should say. That retrospective, sorry. And he was already dead set on doing that. He was already dead set on doing that. That's why he brought it up. That's why he brought it up specifically. Because he wanted people to know, hey, I'm going over Project 7.
Thank you very much for your support. I hope you take this seriously. I hope some people will step up and support on Patreon, and hopefully this could be resolved and it won't be as big of a deal as it looks like right now. I'll let you know in the future what happens, but for now, business as usual, full-time streaming over on Twitch, and me uploading my videos to KO Gaming, and I'll let you know if there's any update on DSPGaming. All right, thank you guys, and see you soon.
Wow. Okay, first things first. How are you going to say that it's full-time streaming on Twitch when you said that if people could, that he may, wait a second, let me redo that whole thing, I'm sorry. How are you going to say, all right, guys, it's back to usual, it's business as usual, full-time streaming on Twitch? How is that even an accurate statement when you're saying that, hey, if you guys on YouTube don't support this, I'm going to have no choice but to go to full-time streaming? How is that a thing? So you're going back to doing something that you're threatening people that you're gonna do anyway. And then, as he said about the retrospective, hey guys, I'm gonna be doing this retrospective situation on stream, but don't worry, I'm gonna upload it to YouTube. You know what I'm saying, as usual. So that's not gonna change either. So literally, you want these people to give you all this money for nothing, to compensate you, I guess, until you get your thing back, and that's it. And and as I said, he laid it all out for them. He told them everything. He told them fucking everything. That's amazing. Oh. It's like Tevin said. Just imagine if he was actually, it's just like Tevin said recently, I should say. Just imagine what Phil would be like if he was actually a good con man. Just imagine. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and close up shop. Give me, I'm going to need a few minutes, but it won't be a few minutes for you guys. I'll see you guys in a few seconds. We'll reconvene and, yeah. And then we'll talk about what's next, I guess. Here we go. think that should be good, I think. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. Big ups to our partnership with WWE Champions and whatnot. Big ups to Chio18. Big ups to Snort Coffee Company, the best beverage company. And final thoughts, I guess. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a really long time since I've had to record a video, so I guess that kind of explains why it's so long, if you will. And then I've kind of just got a lot of things going on, as in I've got a lot of things on my mind, as I should say, pertaining to the dumb shit that Phil's doing, and it's just going to be so much to talk about later on down the line. But I felt like going back into the lore helped a lot, and just kind of seeing some of these early examples of his bullshit. It adds a level of context to it all. It's not old, and it's rather amazing. Not really amazing. It's interesting to see how the begging has changed over the years, though it hasn't changed so much. The circumstances have changed, but the begging's still the exact same. The con job, if you will, is still relatable, if you will. Not relatable. It's familiar. There we go. It's familiar. You know what I mean? It's not too far off, to be honest. So that's what I'm hoping to do here over the next couple of videos / broadcasts. You know how to do. That's what the hope is for a little while. I want to try to go over these and see what you guys think. You know what I'm saying? Familiarize yourself a little bit with some of these circumstances. It's been fun, I got to tell you. Like I said, we'll eventually be back at the main channel and whatnot. And then, like I said, we are working diligently to kind of decide how we're going to play it out when it comes to live broadcasts, which is really the only real interesting thing I really have as it pertains to streaming. I think I'm going to let the restreamers be the restreamers, to be honest with you. You already have like a tremendous amount of talent to that, to be honest. And if anybody does do it, I'd like to see someone new kind of come along and shake that up a little bit. But you guys have a great batch of people who already do it. Hopefully you continue to support them. Ann Lee, Agent Proper, James the Lesser, obviously Dark Dave Mirrors, obviously Raw DSP and shit. That's like one of the greatest places to clip shit, for sure. And there's some smaller guys making their way up too, so hopefully they do more of it, and hopefully more people get attention, and so on and so forth. Like I said, link down in the description. I'll have some links for you guys, mainly to the DSP book club, for sure. That's from our friend Paul. So please check those out. Please check those out. You know what I'm saying? It might be a good read. I think you guys will. It is a good read. I just think you guys might like it. You know what I'm saying? We'll see. And whatnot. And what else will I have down there? If I remember to, or eventually I'll put it there. I'd have to go back and look. Maybe I can get you guys the link to the KiwiFarms thread around this particular time. You guys can take back and read some vintage hot takes and stuff like that. Because interestingly enough, actually, real quick, when Ann Lee when he kind of showed up on the scene, his name looked really familiar, but mainly his avatar, if you will, looked really familiar. And there's actually it's not a Kiwi thread. He's in the general discussions around this time, actually. So you get to see some of the old posts from there. So that's the thing. So I knew I had recognized it before. Like he's been around watching Detractor content for a really long time. So just to give you guys an idea. Oh, okay, I already did that. Cool. I didn't mean to do that, but we'll live with it. But so that's a thing in itself. I also have the link to the music that's being used down in the description as well, if you guys want to go ahead and go ahead and listen to it, or whatever the case may be. If not, you're more than welcome to go ahead and leave a message down in the comment section, and I'll try to go ahead and touch base with you and whatnot, and drop the link to you. But I usually leave it in the description box. Same thing on the main channel. I mean, I trust somebody else to do it on the main channel, but they've always done well by it, so it is what it is. Like I said, more to come. If you guys have I might make a post for this on the general discussions and whatnot. You guys have a particular begging video that he's done, shoot me a link, and the title, if you wouldn't mind, and we can go over that next. But that's what we're going to go over for a little bit and whatnot. And then I will work on some of the recent events for the main channel. You know, I'm going to kind of mess around with the lore for a little bit, and then I'll get it out there though, because you know, it is what it is and whatnot. And I got some interesting takes on it, but the lore will help me refresh a little bit more before I get to that. All right, guys. Yet again, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it, and I will see you guys for the next one, whenever that may be, hopefully sooner or later. This has been the Gout Report, brought to you by, yet again, Snortbucks Coffee Company, the best beverage company, and WWE Champions, and that absolute fucking ultra rare 4-star Hulk Hogan, Snortbucks edition. Not everybody can get it. I'll see you guys for the next one. Later, people.
On this new frontier, this hasn't been a really fun year, but I'm still receiving some clear peace of mind. Won't you come here with me? Yahusha will arrive quickly, bringing healing to the sickly. Give me a shot, okay, Ripley? Believe it or not, I'm swiftly running to my quiet place, because I desire space. So please don't violate.
Negativity we will annihilate. Let all my people know we ain't got time to waste. Open your eyes and let your pupils dilate. Yahusha, while we praise your name and keep the faith remaining strong, we carry on from day to day. Let's keep it pushing, cause I know you'll make a way. You'll make a way. You'll make a way. Yeah, I know you'll make a way.